Blur me, the Testarossa, running like a smoke stop. Don't try to get close up, cause you might get lost in a dual exhaust. Don't ever try to fuck with a boss. High octane, there ain't no ping when I swing on a lyrical speed king, and that's just first gear. Looking for the upshift. Who can get with this? Well, I'm your Testarossa. Black Testarossa. Others get boss on the bosses, finishes flawless. 12 cylinders, listen to the horses. Accelerate smooth, move or else get moved. Rep for cover, my brother suckers are getting smothered. The clutter you others mother is rammed in a gutter. My rep is kept, my motherfuckers must step. The best get swept and left out to rest. Look at that air intake, second gear, passing fakes. Revolutions per lyric get higher. How can I chill when my rhyme's on fire? As I approach the end of my tack, my lyrical horsepower blows to the max. Red line is reaching the peak of my speech, and I told ya, I'm your Testarossa. Testarossa. Gear number 3, get off the clutch and don't let them up. Keep them all down on these young bucks. Let them know the big boss is just a bit quicker. Get the picture, back talk tolerated none. Son left you at the gun when I hit gear 1. Now I'm in 3rd and you think that's quick? Wait till I hit 5th. Me and my pack, we keep plenty of snack packs. You said fat, now yo to the max. Mark makes a lot for your next attack. Now yo, critical mass.
Yeah, I got you back.
260 pounds of pure pain. Critical mass, my homeboy's name. My personal trainer, taking weight gain. I got the bulk of crushing container. On the track, I'm like a wind axe. Cutting up air like Boeing's aircraft. Time to shift and let my lyrical seatbelt hold ya. I'm your Testarossa.
Down the street. Rolling down the street. Rolling down the street. Rolling down the street.
Up to 4th gear, the speed increased. Police got beef with the word chief. Move or lose, I excuse the whack dudes. You light my fuse and clear out or get used. I go 155, no need to lip sync, I'm straight up live. So up rough bluffs who wanna be tough, you fuss and cuss wearing that Raider stuff. Fake fools from around the way, knowing damn well you ain't from LA. Ashamed of where you come from, son, so you rattle. Like it or not, I scream straight up Seattle. Rip our streets with a lyrical sweep. Don't peep or creep or you lose your freak. The cams growl, engine loud, my tongue keeps beating them down.
Good luck, K-Starg.
Get ready for 5th, just hit him with a maximum diss. I roll ya, fool ya, mold ya. I told ya I control ya.
Yeah, I was at the mall today. Why didn't you come say hi or hit me or something?
I'm your Testarossa. Yo, Punish, show 'em what time it is. Gear number 5, your eyes get wide, so realize that I survive and I rhyme for mine. I wrote the dope and is it coming up? Nope, I ain't the joke, so don't hope for my throat. There it is, the whiz gets his, a word quiz is what it is, and mix don't give. Sight to the whack who act like Max and try to jack a pop rap to hit the map. That ain't like me, it ain't cool to rob another fool, then claim your rule. Your group will not need troops, you like juice, so you hit the stage wearing my boots. Cupcake, I ain't about to get raped by fake. Just look at the tail light shrink and then think I left you pink in a lyrical kink. Time to drop through my gears and then stop, cause I lock the box on them clowns that jock. Turbo Koenig, 230 up on ya. I'm your Testarossa. I'm your Testarossa. I'm your Testarossa.
Roll on, what?
Yeah. I fuck these hoes after our shows. With dicks, we slang free. Bitch, do your thing, do your thing. Benz, Vets, Hummers, Jets, Rolex, Mosaics, television, head rest, 20 inches, nothing less. Every day, iced out, nigga, play lights out. M, period,
Your wife is my baby mama.
Goddamn, motherfucker.
She's a good dick sucker.
What the fuck? Hold on. Everybody, get your roll on. Everybody get your roll on. Everybody get your motherfucking roll on. What? Everybody get your roll on. Everybody get your motherfucking roll on. What? Everybody get your roll on. Everybody get your motherfucking roll on. What? Everybody get your roll on. Everybody get your motherfucking roll on. What? Me, answers, bitch, please. You know who I be. Nothing else, none other. The number one stunner. Nigga, I pimp, hold, boss, toss, flip, hold. Show them bitches no love. Ride 2G lack on dubs. Ounces, quarters, halves, bricks. Nigga, I done sold all that shit. Soon as my tour stop. Bought 5 business Zora drops. TVs must, buttons must. CMB
Platinum Plus.
what the fuck? Hold on. Everybody get your motherfucking roll on. Everybody get your roll on. Everybody get your motherfucking roll on. What? Everybody get your roll on. Everybody get your motherfucking roll on. What? Everybody get your roll on. Everybody get your motherfucking roll on. What? Everybody get your roll on. Everybody get your motherfucking roll on. What? I like loud pipes, big rims, old ice, B12s, better, no itch, strictly leather. PlayStation, DVD, don't worry about your bitch, she coming with me. Leave the stickers on the belly to show the pride. Arm out the window just to floss my eyes. Fresh, wait, hold up, that's that bitch we fuck. Nigga, what your bank bout? Dog, I've been lost count. Pop that Chris, pop that Mo, slap that bitch, punch that hole. What the fuck? Hold on. Everybody get your motherfucking roll on. Everybody get your roll on. Everybody get your motherfucking roll on. What? Everybody get your roll on. Everybody get your motherfucking roll on. What? Everybody get your roll on. Everybody get your motherfucking roll on. What? Everybody get your roll on. Everybody get your motherfucking roll on. What? Everybody get your roll on. Everybody get your motherfucking roll on. What? We the motherfucking best, nigga. Super. Future.
I come looking for you with Haitians. I stay smoking on good Jamaican. I fuck bitches from different races. You get money, they started hating. I woke up in a new Bugatti. 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 I woke up in a new Bugatti.
Niggas be hating, I'm rich as a bitch. 100K I spent that on my wrist. $200 spent that on your bitch. Do me your model, put that on my list. Or there he go in that foreign again. Killing the scene, bring the coroner in. Murder she wrote, swallow a choke. Hit her and go, I won't call her again. Woke up early this morning. Crib as big as a college. Smoke me a pound of the loudest. Whipping some shit with no mileage. Diamonds cost me a fortune. Them horses all in them Porsches. You pussies can't handle afford it. 4,200 my mortgage. Falling on niggas like Corbett. Fuck all you haters, you bore me. Only the real get a piece of the plate. Reppin' my city and running my state. Keep me a pistol, they run with the case. Niggas won't beef, then I visit your place. Bang.
I come looking for you with Haitians. I stay smoking on good Jamaican. I fuck bitches from different races. You get money, they started hating. I woke up in a new Bugatti. 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 I woke up in a new Bugatti.
flow, that flow bringing tragedy in. Cop me your chain, your salary spent. Niggas this week bring them cavities in. Counting money, hourly trend. Rolling them skinny like Olsen twins. Niggas the squares, cabinet bins. Neck full of gold, Olympian shit. Demons I'm blowing the check on the gear. Falling some pussy, then hop on the leer. Strap with them choppers in back of the rear. Sock passe, them killers is here. Woke up early this morning. Mine is telling me money. Paper, moolah. Pockets as fat as a tumor. Me and a nigga, no rumor. Living my life off a tuna. Want it with me, I deliver the beef. Real niggas only enjoying the feast. Pull up a seat, bon appetit. No Louboutins when that red on your sleep. Bang, 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 bang.
I come looking for you with Haitians. I stay smoking on good Jamaican. I fuck bitches from different races. You get money, they started hating. I woke up in a new Bugatti. 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 I woke up in a new Bugatti.
Photographs of dope boys. It's all they taking, fingerprints on a Rolls Royce. It's why they hating, push a button on his broke boys. As detonation, walk the road to riches bare feet. I watch mama struggle, now she living carefree. That's why I hustle for that half a key, that's 12 G's. I'm trying to bubble every summer a new LP. You gotta love me, I got shooters out the D-League. Signing bone and hit that man, that's from 30 feet. Left in the puddle, fingerprints is on 100 mil. That's what it is, Ricky Rose and Ace Hood. We hella trill, yeah.
I come looking for you with Haitians.
What you know about this?
I stay smoking on good Jamaican.
We the best.
I fuck bitches from different races. You get money, they started hating. I woke up in a new Bugatti. 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 I woke up in a new Bugatti.
What they doing, hating on us, but they never cross. Cash money still a company, and we's the boss. Stunning like my daddy, stunning like my daddy, stunning like my daddy, I be stunning like my daddy. Young stunner, I be stunning like my daddy, stunning like my daddy, I be stunning like my daddy. Yeah, you paid, that's all I gotta say. Can't see you little the money in the way, and I'm sitting high against the ride blaze, and if you ain't gon' ride fly, then you might as well hate. I gotta eat, yeah, even though I ain't no, it ain't my birthday, but I got my name on it. Believe that, and if the mans won't play, and I'm running, put the ball on the gate. Hey, pick 'em up, and let 'em lay. Where I'm from, we see a dead body every day. That uptown, throw a stack at 'em, make a song about me, I'm throwing back at 'em. Show me, she like a addict, and she saw me nigga, she thought I was back at it. I grabbed my keys, I gotta go, got my motorcycle jacket and my motorcycle logo. On the Yamaha, chromed out 1100. What I'm doing, getting money. What we doing, getting money. What they doing, hating on us, but they never cross. Cash money still a company, and we's the boss. Stunning like my daddy, stunning like my daddy, stunning like my daddy, I be stunning like my daddy. Young stunner, I be stunning like my daddy, stunning like my daddy, I be stunning like my daddy. Johnny, 98, 45 paper plates, 10 the whole thing, big money, heavyweight, 100 stacks, spent 50 on a caddy, 25 on a pinky, bought a pound of and bounce back. Matching grills, big houses on the hills, got them in the kitchen out, paying bills. On Thunder Island, dollar after dollar, flipping chickens, getting tickets, want the money and the power. Born stunting, uptown hunter, third wall G, been about money. Ice chunky, Birdman, red monkey, white tees on the chromed out 1100. You know we shine every summer, we grind every summer, and this is how we spend money. You see them business and them lambs, them mountains and them. We was born hustling. On the Yamaha, chromed out 1100. What I'm doing, getting money. What we doing, getting money. What they doing, hating on us, but they never cross. money, still a company.
We the boss. Stunning like my daddy. Stunning like my daddy. Stunning like my daddy. I be stunning like my daddy. Young stunner. I be stunning like my daddy. Stunning like my daddy. I be stunning like my daddy. Yeah, when I was 16, I bought my first Mercedes Benz. I must 1,000 and a girlfriend. White leather, hot new pair of rims, brand new. With a like a hairpin. Big work, we don't need a man. Big paper, say good morning to the mailman. What you know about putting in the spare man? I can stuff a coupe like a mother caravan. I'm in my zone, my farm is so rare, man. If there's a phone, you looking at the chair, man. How you want it? Show me my opponent. Show me my opponent. I'm still ballin'. Gotta get me, and I never been a cause my hood never let me. Yeah, I made with me. I'm a motorcycle boy, so I'm about to pump the Bentley. On the Yamaha,
Chromed out 1100.
what I'm doing,
Getting money,
what we doing,
getting
what they doing,
hating on us.
but they never cross.
Cash money, still a company.
We the boss. Stunning like my daddy. Stunning like my daddy. Stunning like my daddy. I be stunning like my daddy. Young stunner. I be stunning like my daddy. Stunning like my daddy. I be stunning like my daddy. On the Yamaha, chromed out 1100. On the Yamaha, chromed out 1100. On the Yamaha, chromed out 1100.
Cash money still a company, and we to the ball.
On the Yamaha, chromed out 1100. On the Yamaha, chromed out 1100. On the Yamaha, chromed out 1100.
Cash money still a company, and we
We the boss.
Good morning. It's Uncle Lou here. Yep, that's right. It's me, Uncle Lou, live on LouTube for you. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it also. And in addition to that as well, make sure you subscribe. If you're not, hit the thumbs up at the start of the show. That's a big help to a live stream. Let me turn that down. Okay. Make sure you hit the thumbs up if you hadn't already. It's a big help to the live stream. It's literally the easiest thing you can do to help support the show tonight. Let's go ahead and hit that thumbs up. We're going to talk some college football. Of course, we had some news today with the College Football Playoff Committee. It's not really new news. It's only new in that I guess now it's officially official, but we've all kind of known this was coming for a while. We were just waiting on all the interested parties to kind of agree on all the details, and that finally happened today. So starting with the 2024 season, of course, like you've heard, I'm sure all day, we will be having a 12-team playoff. The first four teams will get a bye week. The first round of the playoffs will be played on home campuses, so you'll have 5 versus 12 at the home stadium of the 5th-ranked team, 6 versus 11 at the home stadium of the 6th-ranked team, yada, 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 while the first 4 teams get a bye. The 6 highest-ranked conference champions will have a guaranteed spot somewhere in the playoffs, and the top 4 conference champions, of course, will have the bye week. The second round of the playoffs, which would be the quarterfinals, will be played at existing New Year's Six sites that will rotate from year to year. The semifinals will be played at the 2 remaining New Year's Six sites, and a national championship game in a city picked, every single year. Atlanta in 2024, Miami in 2025. Everybody get it? Got it? Good. Good. Can't wait to argue with people about that all night tonight. Conference championship weekend starts tomorrow with the Pac-12 game on, I believe, at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Southern Cal and Utah, a rematch from a game I saw. A lot of you didn't watch it. It was one of the best games of the year in all of college football, Southern Cal and Utah. Southern Cal winning close most of the game. Utah scored at the end. Extra point would have tied it up. It was a home game for Utah. Instead of going for the tie, they went for 2. Got it. Won the game by 1. It was a great game. 43-42 or 42-41. It was a great game. Great game. And I think it'll be a great game again. And it's probably going to be one of the most watched. Usually the Pac-12 title game, I think, is the least watched conference championship game. It may be one of the most watched this year. It's really the only one that's going to determine if anyone else can get into the playoffs. If Southern Cal were to lose, they're going to be out of the top 4. That would make way for Ohio State. There's more Ohio State fans pulling for Utah this week than there are Utah fans pulling for Utah this week. Ohio State fans all ran out and bought Utah hats, just like Tennessee did with Baylor the other week or whatever it was. It's kind of funny. Good luck, Sucknut, man, is all I really can tell you. Good luck. Appreciate everybody tuning in. If you'd like to be a part of the show tonight, click the link in the description that says join the show. I'll do my best to post a link in the comment section every once in a while throughout the show. But there you go. There it is. Just click the link. It'll put you in a back room. And when it's your turn, we'll put you on. We'll talk some college football. Let's see who's here today. Sir UJ is here. B. Bean is here. Curtis Maximus is here. Mayhem Matthew is here. Jay Shipes, Wet Blanket, Sergeant Gibby, Pastor Dave, D. Taylor, Biscuit, Fish and Football, Joe Doman, Sir UGA, Year of the Dogs. That could really be any random year, couldn't it, at this point? Could be every year at this point. Nathan, Daryl Summer, Michael Goosey, KGA, JC, Blue Captain, Pastor Dave, Moneyman, Jabari Jones, Trey Bartolo, George on My Mind, DDB7X, Breezy, Victor's Valiant is here. I think that's a Michigan man, but I could be wrong. I was wrong once before. Remember when I picked Georgia to beat South Carolina in 2019? Yep, I was wrong. Drew Campbell, Sports Talk 101, Jake Does Sports, Michael Sizemore, Coop Dog. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Again, make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button. Let's get right to the calls today. Del Martin, whoever you are, you got to figure out how to, I don't know if you're on a phone or a computer or what you're on, but it says your devices are not connected. I'm not going to be able to put you on. Riley, you're on with Uncle Lou.
Uncle Lou, what's up, man? Big fan. I'm a college student. I've got 2 roommates. We watch you every week. So big fan, man.
You a big CBS sports fan too?
Yeah, big time
that.
on that.
Yeah, see that there.
Yeah, we go to a small college in Alabama, so I got 2 Alabama fans in here and an Auburn fan, but God bless his soul. But he
what college? It ain't George Wallace, is it?
It's not. It's
Okay.
Jacksonville State. You ever heard of it?
Okay. Yeah, they beat a couple of years ago.
Yeah, Florida State.
Florida State. Yeah. The Gamecocks.
Yep, no doubt. Funny enough, Rich Rod's our coach now here at
that's
Jacksonville
right.
State.
Yeah, that's
which
right.
is hilarious. But yeah, I was just wondering, like, what do you think Saban should do at the quarterback position in terms of the bowl game? And I say bowl game because we're not going to the playoff. So any Alabama fans out there, just know we're going to a bowl game. And it'll most likely be the Sugar Bowl or Orange Bowl. But
I think if Bryce Young wants to play, he's going to let him play. I think it's just a question of whether or not Bryce Young sits the Sugar Bowl out or not. I think if he sits it out, Jalen Milroe will play.
I don't know.
I know y'all don't like him, so what do you want maybe to see Ty Simpson?
I want Ty Simpson.
Yeah.
I want Ty Simpson. And just due to the fact I know he's going to start Milroe because Saban's proven this over and over again, just about his loyalty.
Yeah.
Even when Hurts was here, just refusing to put, 2 in, it's kind of like almost like he just never gave up his loyalty until it was literally his back was against the wall. And Kirby kind of does the same thing. They're both the same on that, but Kirby was a little too loyal with the Fromm situation and company. But it's just he's too loyal. I think Ty Simpson's way better of a quarterback. When you just watch him warm up, you just can see, like, Ty Simpson can really spin it.
Is he a true freshman this year?
He is.
Okay.
He's his dad's the coach.
So it's not surprising that we didn't see him this year because even some of the all-time greats that you guys have had at QB under Saban didn't play their first year.
No doubt.
I mean, Tua didn't play to the very end, that kind of deal. So, I don't know. I don't know that much about Ty Simpson, but if he's better than Jalen Milroe, I would trust Saban to make the right decision as far as next year goes. Now, for the bowl game, I don't know. I have a feeling it'll be Jalen Milroe for the bowl game, and maybe you see Ty Simpson some in the second half. I don't know.
But yeah, it's like one of those things where like Mac Jones came in the bowl game, I guess when we played Michigan, but because he had to, obviously Tua was hurt. But it's just like you need to prepare for next season, and I don't think Milroe is the guy to do that. Yeah.
Well, if he is or he isn't, I mean, I criticize Saban when I think he deserves it. Same with Dabo Swinney, but I say all the time, if there's 2 coaches in the country who have, I think, earned the right to be trusted when it comes to their quarterback decisions, it's Nick Saban and Dabo Swinney. I mean, yanking Hurts out of that game and putting 2 in and then doing the opposite the following year. I mean, not very many coaches would make that move. Yanking Kelly Bryant out and going with Trevor Lawrence after Kelly Bryant took the Taters to the playoffs. Most coaches wouldn't have the nuts to make those moves. Saban and Dabo has, so we'll see.
Yeah, that's true, but it's almost like Saban had no other choice, in my opinion, on those decisions.
Well, I've seen Georgia down bad at halftime to y'all a few times, and I've never seen Kirby go to that well.
That is true.
It's not like every coach in America would make that move. Trust me.
That's true. The Jalen Hurts in the championship was, I guess, a harder move than. Because Tua was hurt in that SEC championship.
That's right. He had the ankle going into the game, and then I think he aggravated it in the game or whatever it was. Yeah.
It wasn't like he was playing terrible, but he, I don't know. It's just a lot of different things. But they sadly only went to 3 games this year. Funny enough, I went to both of our losses at to LSU and Tennessee.
You went to the road game at Tennessee, huh?
Oh yeah. Terrible place. Obviously,
I bet. I can imagine.
The fans are very passionate, and we'll let you know.
Yeah.
It's almost like they haven't done it in like 16 years or something.
Right? Weird. What do they say? Act like that's when people say Tennessee fans should act like they've been there before. I'm like, hello, they haven't been there before. Most Tennessee fans have never seen Tennessee beat Alabama. They didn't know how to act. Yeah,
it's incredible. But yeah, I just wanted to come on here and say that, man. I appreciate it, and big fan of the show. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, appreciate y'all listening. Shout out to you and your roommates there. Y'all behave yourselves in college if you can. And if you can't, well, don't get caught. Good morning, but you're on with Uncle Lou, though, and tuned also. All right, maybe it'll be a better time for you later. I hate to end. Sorry to bother you. Good morning, you're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, what up, Lou? I'm a first-time caller.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Hey, man, I gotta thank you again, man. Like, I actually sent you a super chat maybe like last month sometime, and I told you that I bought a ticket to the national championship game. So that was because of I was listening to one of your lives. I always listen on the playback because I can never get you live. And I think Tennessee was about to play Georgia like in a few weeks, and he was like, "It's cheaper to go to the national championship game than it is to go to Tennessee versus Georgia." So I looked at the tickets, and like I got like a middle seat for like, I think like after the fees on SeatGeek, it was like $946.
Wow.
And I'm like, damn, that's cheap as hell. And you know the teams aren't revealed who's gonna be there, so no one's like trying to take. I mean, some people probably take that risk, but like when you said that, you were actually right, because I was supposed to go to the SEC championship game, and I wasn't expecting Florida to be there. Obviously, I just wanted to experience that game,
right?
You know, and like those tickets were just crazy. Like I'm talking about for like, and I think maybe because it's in Georgia and mostly Georgia fans go to that game, and I mean to sit in the nosebleeds, it was like $700-800. I mean, obviously it's cheaper this week because maybe LSU lost.
Well, yeah, it was Tennessee fans that were buying up all the SEC championship game tickets, and then they found out they weren't going, and so the Tennessee fans drove the prices way up prematurely, and now they're all stuck with those tickets, and they're selling. The prices for the SEC championship game right now are pretty cheap compared to years past. LSU didn't even sell all its tickets.
And I'm glad I didn't buy that ticket because, I mean, Spain, I always wanted to go to a national championship game. I mean, I live in Tampa, and when Bama played Clemson here, the tickets for that game was like $3,000, like for the cheapest seat.
Yeah.
And then Ohio State played Bama a few years ago in Miami. Oh my God, those tickets was crazy. And I think because of COVID, they made the tickets a little higher. So when you said that, I have to thank you again, because literally, if you would have never said that, Lou, I would have never checked. And I was contemplating for weeks, should I buy this? No, this is stupid. And I've never been to LA. And I'm like, nah. And I'm not going with nobody, obviously, but I'm a huge college football fan. I go to a Florida versus Georgia game every year. And Lou, you know how much that game costs.
Yeah.
For one seat at that game, it's like $400. I just went this year. Me and my uncle spent about a total of $1,000 because the tickets was $350 each, so that's about $700. Then you got to account for the gas. Just the park was like $90.
Yeah.
and you already know how much the corn dogs and the Cokes cost. So I mean,
it's ridiculous.
It's like, going to the national championship game was only a few $100 more. What cost me the most money is that I got a hotel right near the airport and walking distance from the stadium. That cost me about $300 a night. So it was about $2,200 total, which is really good.
That's an experience you'll remember for the rest of your life too. So I mean, it's
and I just have
money
to
well
thank you
spent.
for it, because when you said that, like I said, I would have never looked when you said that. I don't know what stream it was, but you was like, it's cheaper to go to a Peach Bowl or a national championship than it is to go to Tennessee versus Georgia in a few weeks. And when you said that, when I was still listening, I looked it up, and at the time, the seats, were like $500-$600. After the fees, it was like $700. But I kept looking, and I found one seat, and maybe somebody was trying to get rid of it. It was literally like $700 for the middle seat, and after the taxes, it was like $946.
Yeah.
So,
Nice. All right, buddy. Well, have fun.
All right, thank you, man.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Talk to you later. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Lou, what's up?
What's up, bud?
I just wanted to know, I haven't really heard your opinion on it anywhere else. What's your opinion on Chaz Chambliss? Obviously, Nolan got injured. How do you think he's been playing so far?
He's not very good.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I mean, really, if you're Kirby, all you got to do is go sit in a recruit's house and say, hey, this is who we got playing right now. You're needed right now.
I don't know if he's played enough for me to say he's not any good, but he hasn't played well. That's for sure. It's a huge drop off. Last year when we lost Adam Anderson, I felt like there was no drop off at all. We sent Robert Beal in, and I felt like he played great. This year we lost Nolan Smith, and I feel like there's a significant drop off between him and Chaz.
That's really the way the defense has been playing. That's really the only gripe you can have, or correction you can have on the defense, is just the depth at outside linebacker once Nolan got injured.
Yeah. Michael Williams has played well, that true freshman, but I don't know if I don't know if he's not big enough yet, or if they don't trust him yet, or what, but they rarely let him play on running downs. They tend to send him in more lately on passing situations, and Chaz Chambliss is the one out there on first down and then second and longs. So I don't know, but I haven't been impressed with what I've seen from Chaz Chambliss.
Yeah, they even been playing Jalen Walker there in that role lately.
Yeah, they're trying a couple of different things. Yeah, I think they know that's a weak point on the defense, so they've been trying to take the last couple of games to try to figure some things out. But I mean, if you've watched the last couple of games, I think you'd have to be blind to come away with any other conclusion than that Chaz Chambliss hasn't played very well.
Yeah, even Marvin Jones Jr., a true freshman, I'm surprised he hasn't been playing.
I guess maybe he's played some in the second half of games, but I can't remember seeing him do anything really this year in any meaningful way. So I don't know what's going on there either.
Before I get off, just wanted to ask, you think we'll see A.D. Mitchell off the milk carton this week?
I think he's going to be on the George Pickens plan. I think maybe he plays 2 or 3. I mean, he played against Georgia Tech in the second half. He took snaps. He didn't do anything. He was a decoy.
He blocked.
But that's basically what we used George Pickens as. If you remember in the SEC championship game last year, we'd run George Pickens out there, and everybody's paying attention to him, and then we just run the ball the other direction, and he basically didn't do anything. And then he had 1 or 2 catches in the first round of the playoffs and 1 or 2 catches in the championship game. And I think, if anything, that's what we'll see from A.D. Mitchell. The silver lining to that is he's going to have to come back next year, I think. I don't think he's
only
put enough.
A true sophomore.
Oh, he's a true sophomore? I thought he was red shirt. So he's got to come back anyway. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's kind of he's no elite wideout, obviously.
No, I don't think so either, but he's the best we have.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think he could take some of the I feel like teams are focusing right now on Brock Bowers and even Darnell Washington some.
Yeah.
Maybe double teaming them. And I don't know if you can necessarily do that if AD's on the field.
Right
now. I mean, you don't have to regard Lad McConkey and Rosamie Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'll let you get going, Lou. Just wanted to know your thoughts on those 2 things.
All right, buddy. Yeah, appreciate you taking the time to come on. It was good to hear from you. Enrique, thank you for hitting the super chat today to help support the show, sir. I really appreciate that. He says, I can't have the Gumps getting close to Traveler, Lou, because they haven't seen curves like those since they laid eyes on their cousin for the first time. Well, why would the Gumps be getting anywhere near Traveler? They're not playing Southern Cal because Bama wasn't good enough to earn their way into the playoffs this year. Yelda Snell, very generous of you, sir. Thank you for hitting the super chat. He says, "Can I get a Go Dogs?" Of course you can. I'll even play the whole thing for you. Good people. Yep. Water. Appreciate you guys hitting the super chat. How y'all doing in the comments? Y'all behaving? Y'all okay in there? Yeah? All right. Good. 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 Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Lou, how are you doing?
Doing good, sir.
So I placed a bet with you at the beginning or before the beginning of the season. I'm glad to say that bet cashed for me.
Oh, good for you. Congratulations.
Yeah, local Gamecocks fan. And, you know, what a difference 2 weeks makes, man. I mean.
Oh, yeah. Well, for you, it made, what, a $300 difference?
200.
200.
Yeah. But
yeah, it's the baddest beat in gambling history. I had South Carolina minus 6.5 wins. They're sitting on 6 wins, and they have 2 top 10 teams left to play. And they go out and beat them both. You know, I had 2 bets on Carolina. I had 6.5, and I had another one at under 8.
Yeah, I was a 6.5.
So the Tennessee game cost me to bet with you, and the Clemson game cost me to bet with. I ended up losing both of them. All Carolina had to do was go out and lose to 2 top 10 teams. I mean, that was as close to being a guarantee as you can get. And and they lost both of them. I mean, they won both of them. That damn Carolina.
You're as surprised as every single Carolina fan.
Yeah, you're sitting there at 6 wins. Everybody just assumed Carolina was going to finish at 6-6. They're sitting there at 6-4. The only 2 games they had left was Tennessee and Clemson, and everybody was like, "Well, 6-6." Nope, won the last 2 games.
Yeah, the crazy thing is, before the season, I predicted 8-4. You know, I was hopeful it would work out a little bit differently, more consistency. Score a point against Florida, you know, things like that. But hey, I'll take it. 2 top 10 wins. I mean,
oh yeah, of course you'll take it.
And the crazy thing is, I'm not sure if you have ever been a message board guy or anything like that, but the meltdown from people week to week during the season is absolutely incredible. Like, if someone took pictures of the day after the Florida game, what everybody was saying on the message boards, and then the day after the Clemson game, I mean, some of these guys, they'd be embarrassed because, I mean, it was fire Beamer, fire everybody. Ray Tanner's an idiot. I mean, he is an idiot, but, you know.
Well, everybody wanted Satterfield gone. Then the last 2 games happened, and then y'all wanted to keep Satterfield, and then Satterfield told y'all to go fuck yourselves.
Well, I can take Satterfield leaving. That guy is an enigma, man. I don't really know anything that inconsistent. But, man, the coaching changes this season are going to be crazy because I think Alabama is probably going to be getting rid of both of their coordinators. And then you got Auburn hiring everybody. I don't know, man. And then you got Lane Kiffin trolling Auburn. Or trolling Hugh Freeze specifically.
Dan Mullen's available. Why don't y'all go get him? Y'all love to collect failed Florida coaches. Why not give him a try at offensive coordinator?
We would love to do that, but the problem is, would Dan love to come here?
Yeah.
And I don't know, but that is something that's been rumored. But the main guys that we've been hearing is Kendall Briles and Phil Longo type guys, and Graham Harrell. That's pretty much the big 3 that I've heard so far. So I don't really know who we're gonna get. But pretty much anybody would be a pretty good upgrade over Sat.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I was thinking about the playoffs. I don't know if you watch Josh Pate, but he's one of the biggest.
He hates the
Basically,
expansion.
he hates expansion.
Right.
And I really don't understand. I know that people talk about, and I know you posted a video devaluing the regular season, and he likes to talk about basically the concept of scarcity that you learn in business school.
Yeah.
So if you have too much of a product, then obviously it loses value.
Right.
But I don't think the people realize that doesn't go. It works in a certain extent. Like it's not like we're adding 15 games a season. Like I don't.
Well,
and
yeah.
Also,
well, right. And let's think about percentages for a second here. First of all, what's the most watched regular season in this country? Of all the sports, what's the most watched regular season? It's the NFL. Almost half the teams make the playoffs. Hasn't hurt the NFL regular season.
Yeah.
Even when we go to 12 teams, what is that? 7% of the, I mean, there's 130 teams.
Exactly.
So we put 12 in a playoff. That's 8% of the teams. I don't think it's, I don't think 12 is too many teams. As far as the regular season goes, there's going to be some regular season games that don't mean as much as they used to. That's a fact. I mean, he's right when he says that. But like you take Michigan, Ohio State, for example, that was played this year. Okay, that game won't mean as much. Now, it'll still mean a lot because it's a rivalry game. The winner wins their division, which means you have a shot to win your conference, which means you have a shot to get a first-round bye. So it still means something. See, there's a wide difference between means a lot and means nothing.
Yeah.
It's not that Michigan and Ohio State will mean nothing. It's not that I've heard him make the point, too, that no one's going to care about Week 1 games anymore because if you lose, it doesn't matter. Losing a Week 1 game doesn't matter now.
Exactly.
Oregon got beat by 45 points in Week 1. Had they win 11-1 and won the Pac-12, they'd be in the playoffs.
Exactly. And my thing is, the biggest thing to me, why I don't think that argument really makes sense, is that no one's going to be like, no one actively thinks, oh, well, this game ain't going to matter. I'm not going to watch it. Like, no one thinks like that.
Yeah.
College football fans simply want to watch college football.
Well,
it's like NFL fans want to watch the NFL. It's not like they're going to be like, oh, well, this game doesn't matter, so I'm not going to.
And why, look, anytime you change anything, whether you're talking about football or anything else, there's consequences. There's good and there's bad. There's positive and there's negative. I don't understand why, if you're a huge college football fan, you just want to hound on the negative. There's lots of positives. What about all the games in November right now and last year and the year before that meant absolutely nothing that now will mean a lot? Like North Carolina versus NC State or the ACC championship game this year. The Clemson and North Carolina, neither one have a chance to make the playoff. Why? So to the people that say nothing means anything, why are you going to watch that game? Okay,
Exactly.
well, with under the 12-team playoff, the Clemson North Carolina game is just as important as the Southern Cal Utah game, the TCU K-State game, because the winner of that game is getting in the playoffs.
Exactly.
Whereas now, no one's going to watch that. It comes on 8 o'clock Saturday night. It'll be the least watched conference championship game this weekend by a country mile, because neither one of those teams has any chance to get in the playoffs. Whereas starting in 2024, they both have a chance. So then you go back and look at all the other games Clemson and North Carolina played in November. They're going to mean a lot more. Basically, every team ranked 8 through 20 or 25 in the month of November is going to be in the playoff race in November, instead of only 5 or 6 teams being in the playoff race. So some games will mean less, but why harp on that? Some are going to mean a lot more. And I would much rather watch, Alabama versus Florida State on December 15th in round 1 of the playoffs than I would watch Central Florida and Iowa play in the walk-on bowl.
Yeah, and then expanding I mean, this year the playoffs, I don't know who would win these games. Like normally you could say, oh well, Bama's going to blow out whoever the fourth seed is. Second seed is going to blow out whoever the third seed is. But these lower, if you had 12 teams this year, these games would be exciting. Like I don't know who would win these games.
The first round playoffs are going to be probably the most exciting weekend of football now every single year. That first round where you've got 5 versus 12 and 6 versus 11, those are going to be amazing games.
Yeah, because
you'll have some blowouts.
Teams that never play.
Yeah, and you'll have some blowouts just like you always do every week in college football. But you're going to have some really, really good games and some really interesting matchups between some big name teams, and it's going to be great TV. It's going to be great games, and there will be a team, and it won't take long, that will win a national title. That's not a 1 through 4 seed. It will happen.
Yeah.
It will. As much as I love to rag on Bama and Ohio State this year because they're not getting in the playoffs, let's just be 100% real. Alabama would have a decent chance of winning on a neutral field against almost anybody. So would Ohio State. So would Michigan. So would Georgia. There's a handful of teams. So just because Bama and Ohio State aren't making the playoffs this year doesn't mean they couldn't, win a national title in some year down the road when the playoff includes 12 teams. Now, take the group of 5 this year. Either Tulane or Central Florida is getting in, or would get in on a 12-team deal. Well, they're not. That they would not winning a national title.
Yeah. And last thing,
that won't happen. But
I mean, everybody's talking about this usually when you talk about things right now in college football, you're thinking about Alabama. You're always assuming that they're going to be the premier program and they're going to basically cook whoever ass is in front of them. But I think all that's going to change when Saban leaves. Like, I don't know that there will be some sort of team that you can peg to basically win it all every other year. So I think it'll be a lot more exciting than people actually think if you don't have Saban in that equation, which could change in the next 4 years.
Yeah, well, I mean, if history has showed us anything when it comes to college football, there's almost always a dominant program in college football. I mean, it was Southern Cal in the mid-2000s. It was Miami at points in the 90s. So somebody will, somebody's always going to be the best program in football. Somebody has to be.
Yeah. Well, that's all I have for you, Lou.
All right, buddy. I appreciate you coming on, man. It was good to hear from you. Appreciate you taking the time to call in. Yep, somebody outside the top 4 is going to win a national title. It's not going to take long. Was it last year or the year before? Tampa Bay won the Super Bowl as a wild card team. They played all 3 playoff games. They were the worst team to make the playoffs, the Tampa Bay Bucks, and they won the Super Bowl. They won 3 road playoff games, and then they won the Super Bowl. It's going to happen in college football too. It's going to happen. All these people that, we got 4 teams and it's blowouts. Why do we need 12 teams? So it's going to happen, and it won't take long. It won't take long at all. A couple of years. Somebody ranked 5th, 6th, 8th. Somebody's ranked one of those spots is going to end up winning it all. It won't take long. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, how do you do, Lou?
Hey, what's up, bud?
Hey, I have a couple of questions for you. I'm kind of a Big 12 homer, kind of. So I'm kind of rooting for TCU to kind of make it all to this year. And I was wondering, what do you think their chances are of, going to the big dance?
Who?
TCU.
They're in. I don't think there's any chance they're not in.
Well, playing Georgia in the national championship.
Oh, no. I don't. No. No. I think I think Georgia, Michigan, or Southern Cal, the one would beat TCU, but they're getting into the playoffs though.
I kind of tend to agree with you there. I just needed to talk them up to feel better about myself here at Oklahoma State.
And I like TCU. I think they're a legitimate team. Max Duggan is really, really good. They've got a really good offense. Their defense, I think, is what is going to cost them in the playoffs. But I'm not one of these people that thinks TCU should be ranked 12th or whatever. I mean, TCU. I don't know why TCU gets shit on. I guess it's because of all their close wins. But I mean, I think they got the most amount of ranked wins of any playoff team.
That's true.
They've got some good wins, and you can criticize the scores of the games they won, but they won them. So
that's true. And they shouldn't have won that Kansas State game. Let's just be real about that.
Well, they caught a couple of breaks, yeah. But you know what? Almost every single team that's ever won a national title in the history of college football caught a break somewhere along the way. The ball bounced their way one particular time. So, look, Adrian Martinez goes down. Not only that, the backup goes down. Kansas State had to throw the third-string quarterback in there. They couldn't get a first down. TCU comes all the way back and wins the game. So, but, you can say that about a lot of teams that win national titles. Georgia almost lost to Mizzou earlier this year. Sometimes you got to survive once or twice a year, and TCU's done that.
That's true. And my other question is people seem to don't think that we have a chance to do it, and I tend to disagree. But what do you think Oklahoma State's chances are if we were to fire Mike Gundy to get a big boy coach in there? Somebody with a name.
I think Oklahoma State is a good job. I mean, I don't know if you would. I wouldn't put it in the top tier of jobs. Whatever teams you want to consider that to be, Bama, Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State, Michigan, Texas, Oklahoma. I wouldn't put it in that category, but I'd put it in the next one. I mean, they got to be averaging 8-9 wins a year over the last 15 years under Gundy. Now, what happened this year?
What happened this year is that Gundy is every single year. This is all. If he doesn't have good coordinators, we're not going to have a good year. He's not a good head coach, and I don't know why people say that. I mean, every single year, all he does is sit there on the sideline. Uncle Lou, me and my wife went down to Norman this year to Bedlam.
Yeah.
And we, for some odd reason, there in Oklahoma, they have these ramps that go 8 stories high. I don't know why. My God, my knees about blew out on me. But, man, we saw this old man, Oklahoma State fan, and he was walking up there struggling all the way up there, and we just sat there and watched us get our ass kicked. And then Gundy, in the press conference, he pretty much told us that you just need to accept this. You just need to accept this and quit crying. I don't know why you're bitching about us losing like this. I remember when we used to lose a lot around here. But, I don't know why y'all are bitching about this. He pretty much told us to shut our mouth, Lou, and just accept it.
Damn.
He said that in a press conference. I ain't even kidding. That's a real quote.
Yeah, that sounds like something Dabo Swinney would say.
Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely incredible. You know what he said after we lost to West Virginia? When he got asked about, hey, what happened, Coach? It's all spiraling out of control. You know what he said? He said, pretzels and yogurt are pretty good. I'm not even kidding. That was his response. Yogurt and pretzels. Let's talk about yogurt and pretzels, y'all.
Yeah.
I mean, it's absolutely incredible. I mean, we pay him $8 million a year, Uncle Lou.
Yeah, I don't like that when coaches take a condescending tone towards obvious questions. Kirby does it a lot. I don't like it. Saban, a lot of times over the course of his career, has treated the media like shit. Dabo did it a couple of days ago. I don't like that. Like you said, you're making $8-9 million a year. And when your team is good, you're treated like a hero. You're worshipped almost. So when you're shitting the bed, you should be forced to stand there and answer some tough questions. And some of these coaches just act like it's beneath them to have to deal with the media or deal with these questions. And I don't like that across the board, whether it's Kirby doing it, Gundy, or anyone else.
But see, the difference is between those elite coaches like Kirby Smart and Mike Gundy. Mike Gundy said in his press conference when they said, hey, have you had discussions with your players, whether they're coming back or leaving next year, hitting the portal, going to the end, what are they doing? And he says, I don't know. We don't have conversations. We don't have conversations with our players. Yeah, he said we do not have conversations.
What the hell is he doing?
I have no idea, but that's a I mean, any other school, Uncle Lou, he would have been fired in 5 minutes for saying something like that.
Yeah, that's a little ridiculous.
So, I mean, it's just that I don't even know what to say anymore. Like, we've been dealing with this. I've been dealing with this for 25 years now, and I'm kind of tired of it.
Yeah, I don't blame you. That's a little ridiculous.
Yeah,
I like Gundy. I don't follow him as closely as you do, and I don't, he's not the coach of my team, so I don't have to get, pissed off at every little thing he does like I would if I was an Oklahoma State fan. But I've always liked Gundy from afar. But this year was just weird and hard to explain because a top 10 team, 5-0, and then you lose 5 of your last 7 games. It's weird.
Yes, exactly. And I'll tell you, it's because he has bad coordinators. Every time he has bad coordinators, we have a terrible year because he's not a good coach.
Right.
He's just not. So that's all I had to say, Uncle Lou. Thank you for taking my call. And
yeah, good to hear from a Oklahoma State fan. Not too many of y'all around this channel. So I was glad to have you on. I hope you'll stay tuned and call back in, keep us up to date with what's going on out there. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Lou.
Hey, what's up?
I called you yesterday.
No, you didn't.
Did I not?
No.
Maybe it was the day before yesterday. I've been kind of losing track of time. I'm alone.
Me too. But I didn't do a show yesterday, so I was like,
oh, you didn't do a show yesterday? That must have been the day before.
Yeah, it must have been the day before.
But anyway, I was just at the Tennessee Vanderbilt game.
Oh, yes.
And
was there anyone else there?
Dude, surprisingly, it was close to full at the start of that game.
Yeah, bunch of Tennessee fans.
But it's a little baby stadium. So.
Yeah.
But I talked to a Michigan fan while I was there, and why there was a Michigan fan trying to watch Tennessee beat up on Vanderbilt in the pouring rain, I have no idea. But it was right after they beat Ohio State, so he should be on top of the world,
Right.
And he walked up there and he was depressed because he did not think that they were going to make it at all in the playoffs.
Really?
Mm-hmm. He was talking like he wasn't sure they'd beat USC or TCU, let alone Georgia.
I would be surprised. I would be surprised if we end up with any other national title game other than Georgia and Michigan. I just think no matter who, I think Georgia would beat TCU or Southern Cal, either one. I think Michigan would beat TCU or Southern Cal, either one. Mm-hmm. Even if Ohio State gets in at the 4, I don't think they're getting out of the first round. Yeah. I would be surprised if we get at this point if we get anybody beside. So I don't know why he was so down about that. And Michigan, I think, is clearly better than last year. I mean, I'm a Georgia fan, but even I wouldn't say. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say Michigan's got no chance against Georgia. I think Georgia would be favored, and I think Georgia would likely beat them, but it'd be a much closer game than last year, I think. And if I was a Michigan fan, I would be optimistic. I mean, Michigan fans got pretty much everything they wanted last offseason. They got the quarterback change, and it's worked out. Yep. They were able to replenish what they lost on defense without taking a huge step back, which was one of Michigan's biggest question marks heading into the season, losing those 2 edge rushers they had last year. You can make the argument Michigan's got a better defense this year than they had last year. Mm-hmm. And then third, the running back situation. They lose Hassan Haskins last year, who was amazing, and all they do is replace him with Blake Corum, who ends up being a Heisman candidate all year long. Now, unfortunately, we found out the news today he's done for the year. So that sucks for Michigan. But he didn't play against Ohio State, so they put the backup in, Donovan Edwards, and the guy goes for 200-something yards. I mean, Michigan has been a good team all year. I've had Michigan ranked ahead of Ohio State almost all year. I've been high on Michigan all year. I think they're a really good team. So I don't know why he was so down in the dumps 2 hours after they whipped Ohio State. That's weird.
Me neither, man. I think he had a little too much to drink, but...
Yeah, well, that is a depressant there, alcohol. Yeah.
All right, Lou, I just want to talk about that for a minute.
All right,
Get
buddy.
some Michigan fans some hope.
I hear you, man. Thank you for calling in. It was good to hear from you. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Uncle Lou. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. What's up, bud?
Not much. So, I was about to talk about the Big 12 championship real quick, but I was listening to the Oklahoma State fan, and I just had to look up some of his stats here. And the loss of Jim Knowles is, it caused a massive impact for them. I'm just looking at the rankings right now. Oklahoma State's number 114th defensively of all teams in the FBS. That's just poor coaching, poor coordinating, just stuff like that. And then on top of that, they're giving like up. What is it? They give like 30 plus per game, and the last 2 games they lost to Oklahoma and West Virginia, and it's just pretty much been a hot mess down there.
I agree. It's unacceptable what happened to Oklahoma State the second half of this season. They start 5-0, they're in the top 10, and then they lose 5 of their last 7 games, and in a lot of those games they didn't even show up. They got completely blown out.
Not.
And I'm not an expert on Oklahoma State's history and past. I couldn't tell you every coordinator they've had or how often they change coordinators. So as far as the last guy, saying he's got to have good coordinators to be any good, I don't know anything about that. But here's what I do know. Mike Gundy was hired in 2005.
Mm-hmm.
He won 4 games that year.
Yeah.
Here's his win totals at Oklahoma State since then. 7, 7, 9, 9, 11, 12, 8, 10, 7, 10, 10, 10, 7, 8, 8, 12, 7. So to the Oklahoma State man, what I would tell you is fire Mike Gundy at your own peril. Oklahoma State is not a traditional powerhouse, and I understand being disappointed, especially this season. But I don't know who's going to come to Oklahoma State that's going to average 10 wins over a 15-year period like Gundy's doing. I don't know who else is going to do that.
I couldn't have said it any better myself, but he is Oklahoma State football. That's their entire identity right there is Mike Gundy, especially when it comes to the press conferences and all that. He's just pretty much Oklahoma State football all around. But anyways, I don't think you saw this, but did you see Cade McNamara, Michigan's backup QB? He's transferring to Iowa.
I did see that, and I can't think of a more perfect match. A quarterback who is outdated, like not very good, game managing, nothing exciting about him, can't run around. I can't think of a more perfect place for him to go than Iowa. I'm sure they welcomed him with open arms.
Oh, I'm sure they did as well. I was thinking about this early on this season as well. From an Iowa State perspective, they beat Iowa in the non-conference, like in their non-con rivalry, and I was just thinking like, we beat Iowa, but at what cost? And it's pretty much becoming Iowa because their offense is terrible, but their defense is really good. So in the Big 12 championship, I'm a K-State fan, hoping we can get a win, but I'm also hoping TCU gets into the playoffs. So, win or lose for our sakes, we're likely going to be in the Sugar Bowl against Alabama, most likely.
Yeah.
We're not too familiar with the smack talking down. Down in the SEC.
I'll help you. Yeah, I'll help you out. Here's the deal: you'll beat Bama. Yeah. Don't worry about it. You'll beat them.
All right.
Half of their players will probably sit out, and then here's the aggravating thing. Alabama fans will talk shit to you for 3 weeks leading up to that game about how they're going to humiliate you. And then when Kansas State goes out there and beats them, they're going to spend all offseason telling you that Alabama didn't want to be in that game, Alabama didn't care, and Alabama didn't try. That's what they're going to tell you. And if you don't believe me, ask Oklahoma, man.
Yeah. Just like the LSU fans last year, we played them in the Texas Bowl, and they had half of their team. I know they're gonna bring that excuse up, but I was expecting for their sakes it to mean more. Just try not to take any shots towards the SEC, but LSU fans were asking for it badly, and I'm expecting Alabama fans to expect it as well. But, it is what it is. It's the programs and where they're at. We're 9-3, the highest win total for Chris Kleiman in his season, but we're not to the powerhouses that are Alabama and Ohio State etc. I mean, you already have
Yeah,
Ohio
don't
State.
get me wrong. If
Yeah.
if for some reason Kansas State and Alabama were in a playoff game, they'd beat you by 30.
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Uh, there's probably no doubt about it, but
Right, there isn't any doubt.
I mean, you're probably getting it. I mean, no matter how good or how bad Alabama will be, I mean, they're going to get the best from every team, and I feel with the way K-State's playing over the last 3 weeks, I think K-State has a strong shot at beating an Alabama team, especially if they have Bryce Young and Will Anderson out.
Is there any chance Adrian Martinez would play in a bowl game at this point?
Well, okay, here's the thing. So Adrian Martinez, I mean, of course, he got banged up for the TCU game. He was out. We brought in our backup, Will Howard. He balled.
Yeah, he's played good. He's played good the last few weeks.
And then the next week after that, he just annihilates Oklahoma State 48-0. And then we trot out Adrian Martinez back onto the field against Baylor. The next week against Texas. Didn't get anything going in the first half. So I think at this point we're just leaning towards Will Howard as our starter. But it's no knock on Adrian Martinez. He had one heck of a career, but there's just a lot of.
Well, he had one heck of a year at Kansas State. He didn't have one heck of a career. He was.
Oh yeah.
He circled the drain for 3 years in Nebraska. He was terrible.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Don't get me started.
You had to be mad when you found out you were getting him. But turned out he had a pretty good year. But I can't imagine anybody. I can't imagine anybody in the offseason going, "Woo! We got Adrian Martinez coming in."
I'll tell you this. Our quarterback situation was to the point where we thought it was to the point where we needed to get a transfer QB, and I mean we got Adrian Martinez, which was the best outcome because our backup QB at the time he was not very good. I mean he was overthrowing his receivers. The offense for the most part was stalled because of his sakes, but I mean he has stepped up tremendously this season. It completely took the world by storm, and I was just completely shocked. But I digress. But thanks for the tips on the Alabama smack talking. Hopefully, I'll be able to do that when bowl season arrives.
Yeah, you will. Won't be no
looking
problem.
forward to the big game on Saturday between us and TCU. Hopefully, we can play spoiler.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. All right, buddy. Appreciate you coming on. It was good to hear from you. Caleb, thank you for hitting the super chat tonight to help support the show. He says, I'm still waiting on that Hugh Freeze video. Yeah, I got to make some videos on a bunch of coaching situations. I decided to wait and do all the coaching videos next week. There's games to talk about this week, whereas next week there isn't any games to talk about, so I'll need some time to fill. So I decided to hold off on Luke Fickell videos and Hugh Freeze videos and Deion Sanders videos and Georgia Tech hiring some plumber or whoever it is they hired to coach their team and all that, and do all that next week because there's no games. The only game next weekend is Army-Navy. I'm not diminishing Army-Navy, but I'm just saying there's not 10 games to talk about next week. There's only one, so I'll have a lot of time to fill next week. So all of the coaching stuff is coming next week. And Hugh Freeze will headline that. I'm pretty sure. Jonah, thank you for hitting the PayPal link tonight, sir. I really appreciate that. Thank you for helping to support the show. He says last year the Braves won it all as a wild card with a 500 record. Yeah, it happens, and it's going to happen in college football too. So I totally get the argument. And look, I agree that, like, you look at this regular season or any regular season, it's pretty easy to pick out the best 3 or 4 teams. I get it. And those 3 or 4 teams are going to be the favorites in every 12-team playoff. But all of us have been watching college football long enough to know that upsets happen all the time. So somebody not ranked 1 through 4 is going to win the national title, and I don't think it's going to take very long. Now, maybe it's the 5 team. You know, maybe it's not a 10, 11, or 12 seed, but somebody's going to win it that's not in the top 4. This idea that no one can win it outside of the top 4, I don't believe that. There's a couple of years that come to mind as a Georgia fan where I would have loved to have gotten into the playoffs where we were the 5th or the 6th ranked team instead of 1 through 4. I don't know that Georgia would have won the national title, but they would have had a shot. They were really good, really good. And there's 2 or 3 teams, I think, every year outside of the top 4 that if they got into the playoffs would have a shot. And I don't think it's going to take very long for us to see that happen. I really don't. And I'm not going to lie. Obviously, I want Georgia to be really good every year and rank number 1 and undefeated. That would be great. I'd be lying, though, if I said, and I'm curious how many people in the comments section kind of feel this way. I can't wait for the year where Georgia finishes in that playoff ranking ranked either 5, 6, 7, or 8. I cannot wait. Because I want a home playoff game in Athens. That would be unbelievable. We've never seen anything like that in college football before. Bowl games have always been on neutral sites. The BCS title game, when we had it, was on a neutral site. Now the playoffs are always in a neutral site. The national championship game, neutral site. We've never seen anything like a college football playoff game at a home stadium. So would I rather Georgia be ranked 5th than 1st in a 12-team playoff? No, because I still think having a bye is better than playing, even if you're playing at home, which is what the 5th through 8th teams will do. But it's not going to hurt my feelings when we have a 12-team playoff whenever this happens and Georgia is ranked 5th or 6th or something or 7th or whatever in that final poll and they get a home playoff game. I think that the atmosphere at these home playoff games, particularly in the first few years, where it's the first time it's ever happened at a bunch of these schools, that atmosphere is going to be unbelievable, I think. Don't y'all agree? I feel like you should agree with me there. Home playoff games in college football are going to be something to see. Going to really be something to see. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, good morning, Uncle Lou. How you doing, sir?
Doing good.
Good. Well, I definitely agree with you there. I mean,
look, are you telling me right now, take this year as an example. Can you, who's ranked 12th right now? Who is it? Florida State? Whoever, I don't know who it is. You're telling me a playoff game where Ohio State, as the 5th team, is playing in Columbus against, I don't know, who is it, Kansas State, whoever the 12th team is, or Alabama as the 6th team is playing Clemson in Tuscaloosa? That's going to be something to see.
And think about how crazy NFL playoff.
You're cutting out.
I mean, for a lot of these teams, they'll be their biggest games ever,
Oh, yeah. It will be. It will be the biggest home game every school has ever had that first time they host a playoff game. It'll be the biggest home game they've ever had, period.
Yeah.
For every team. I don't care how the Michigan-Ohio State game in Columbus was huge. The Georgia-Tennessee game this year in Athens was huge. Mm-hmm. The first time Georgia hosts a playoff game, it will blow that Georgia-Tennessee atmosphere out of the water. The Alabama-Tennessee game in Knoxville. What's Tennessee ranked? 7th? Mm-hmm. Okay, that means they would be hosting the 9th-ranked team. Who is that? Utah? Mm-hmm. Knoxville would be a complete zoo this year if Tennessee had a first-round playoff game at Neyland Stadium. It would be unbelievable.
Yeah, and Jalen High and Cedric Tillman would play and not opt out.
Right.
And that's you would see that's the thing. You'd see the best players play, and that's what you want to see. And I mean, it's just so many positives to this 12 team. I mean, I can't wait for it. And like you said, you're going to have those years where you have that wild card comes out of nowhere and wins the whole thing. And I mean, people will talk about wanting parity in college football and wanting, not the same team to win it all. I mean, you have a better shot with this. Yeah. You'll get blowouts.
Yeah.
But
we get that now. So that's, so that's no different.
So yeah, no, Definitely agree with that. I was going to talk about the SEC title game. I'm a little bit worried, Lou. I don't know why. I'm a little bit worried. I mean, obviously, Georgia should win this game. A couple things that worries me. Always the number one thing that always worries me is Stetson above all.
Right.
I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, am I right to feel that way? I mean,
oh yeah. I mean, I worry about every Georgia game for that same reason.
yeah, because I mean, he has not played well the last 3 games.
No.
He played great against Tennessee, and then the last 3 games.
His last 3 games have been 3 of his worst games of the season.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know that miss. I know he threw 3 touchdowns. He threw 2 horrible interceptions in that game too. So, but I don't really know if we should worry about this, Lou. But just kind of seeing how Georgia has played sometimes and gone into some games, I do worry about the motivation. Do you feel like that's something?
Not in this game. I don't. No. Georgia's got a chance to do something this year that last year's team didn't. 2 things that last year's team couldn't do: win the SEC and go 15-0. I don't think motivation will be an issue in this game.
Okay.
At all.
Okay.
No, I think we'll get Georgia's best effort. All this, conservative type crap, I think that'll be out the window. I think you're going to see more of like what you saw versus Oregon and South Carolina in this game. Not that the score will be that, but I think that's the version of Georgia you're going to see.
Yeah.
In the Tennessee version.
I definitely believe it. It just, I don't know. It just, I look, unfortunately, more of a pessimistic view, and it's just the way I've seen them come out these last 3 games. It just kind of, it kind of has me a little worried.
I mean, LSU is the most talented team we played so far this season. Period. On paper, if you just go by roster talent, they've got some guys. There's no question, but there's a few things working in Georgia's favor. Number one, not winning the SEC last year is a huge motivating factor for them to be able to say they did something that last year's team didn't do, and LSU's biggest weapon against Georgia offensively, in my mind, is Jaden Daniels running around. And I don't know how much of that he's going to be able to do when he can barely walk around all week long. He's in a walking boot. That's bad news if you're an LSU fan. Most of what Jaden Daniels accomplishes is either a direct result of his legs because he's running, or an indirect result of his legs because he's scrambling and throwing on the run. And I think that's bad news. And while I agree Harold Perkins is a great player defensively, he's one guy. And one guy ain't enough.
Yeah. I mean, him and B.J. Ojolari, two really good.
Yeah, he's good too. Yeah, he's good too.
But, I mean, you're right. I don't know how good their secondary is. I don't think it's that good. So, I mean, I guess, okay. Do you think that because they've got some good receivers, do you think that's something to worry about?
Well, they've had good receivers all year. In fact, they've got one of the best wide receiver rooms in the country, but Jaden Daniels hasn't been able to take advantage of that, really. I mean, that Kayshawn Boutte or whatever his name is probably a first or second round NFL draft pick. But look at the numbers. I don't even know how many games, 4 or 5. Jaden Daniels has under 100 yards passing.
Yeah,
he's just not really. He's not a great passer of the football, and it's not like he's a transfer, but he played at Arizona State for a couple of years, so he just really doesn't have it with his arm. And to beat Georgia, you really need a quarterback that can sling the ball around, and I just don't think LSU's got what it takes with Jaden Daniels at quarterback to beat Georgia.
Yeah, and I think it also kind of hurts them too. They really don't have a good running back either.
Well, I like Emory Jr. and Noah Cain. I think they're okay. I would put them maybe on par with Georgia's running backs. I mean, Georgia's running backs aren't great either, especially compared to what we're used to having, but they're good enough. I think Emory Jr. runs hard, real hard.
Yeah.
But I'm not worried about anybody running the football on Georgia. Nope. Nobody's ran the football on Georgia in 5 years. LSU's not going to suddenly figure it out. You got to throw the ball to beat Georgia.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope. I was just kind of seeing your opinion, kind of talk me off the ledge a little bit because it's.
I don't blame you for being worried, but I would be shocked if Georgia didn't win this game. Completely shocked.
Yeah.
And I don't care whether it's by 1 point or 100.
Right.
We're past the point of trying to impress anybody with big wins at this point. It doesn't matter anymore. Georgia wins their next 3 games by 1 point, they're national champions, and I'll be just as happy as if they won them by 100. Plus, I got $1,000 on the game straight up, so the spread means nothing to me. All Georgia's got to do is win by 1 point.
Right. Yeah, no, I think they should. I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game. I don't see a lot of points in this game. Like
yeah,
I said,
I see Georgia winning, I don't know, 24-10, 27-13, 28-17, something like that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine LSU scoring more than 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, and like you said, the mobility, I think, will hurt. So, yeah. I was going to ask, and I know you're going to make a video soon about it, but I watched Hugh Freeze. I watched his introductory press conference for Auburn.
Yeah.
And that guy's got the wrong line of work. That man should be a career politician.
Well, he's a preacher is what he is, which ain't much difference. Politician, preacher, used car salesman.
You get what I'm saying. He just so freaking fake. I mean, he was spilling out all kinds of loads of bullshit in that press conference.
Yeah. I'm going to have a lot of I hope Auburn keeps Hugh Freeze for 10 years because I'm going to have a lot of fun with Hugh Freeze. I've never liked Hugh Freeze. In fact, now that he coaches for one of Georgia's biggest rivals, a team that we're going to be playing every single year, makes me extremely happy. I'm going to have a lot of fun at Hugh Freeze's expense.
Yeah. Well, yeah, one of the first things I said when I heard he got hired, I said, well, these next Auburn hype and hate videos are going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And just like he's so bullshit, and it was kind of pissing me off because, like, I mean, I don't want to bring the religion stuff into it, but like just way he throws around God, and he's like, you're so fucking fake, man. Nobody believes you, man.
Oh, I definitely think he's a fake. 100%. 100%. A charlatan.
I expect him more if he
100%.
just came and just said, hey, I know y'all don't like me, but here I am, instead of just coming out and trying to act like he's fluffing rainbows.
Right.
But that's just it. I ain't going to go on that rant. But, hey, I know you got some more callers. I'll let you get to them. Have a good rest of your evening, sir.
All right, buddy. Yeah, I appreciate you calling in, man. It was good to talk to you. Talk to you again next time. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Morning, Lou.
Yeah, good morning, Nat. Also in 2.
First of all, I'd like to say that I've really enjoyed you splitting up the Your Season Is Over videos into their own little separate things. Makes it a lot easier to, watch it and just enjoy it.
Yeah, it's something I should have been doing all along. It's a time issue, but so now, now I don't make videos on Mondays anymore. I just upload portions of the Your Season's Over video. So I don't know. I need to what I need to do is just pay somebody to cut up the Your Season Is Over video and upload them for me. That's what I need to do.
Yeah, it's it's a great viewing experience. Just being able to pick through to a team that I really care about, because I'm a Virginia fan. We're normally not going to be on the Your Season Is Over video.
Right.
So if the only time we're ever going to be on there is beating Miami, once every 2 years. So
that was the 14-12 game, wasn't it?
That.
Wasn't that the 14-12 deal?
Oh yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah, that was one of the worst college football games I've ever seen. Quadruple overtime, and the score was 14-12. Nobody can score a damn point in this thing. What are we doing here?
Miserable.
Yeah, it was weird.
But so with all the Ohio State fans kind of hoping that, crossing their fingers and hoping that TCU gets blown out and or USC loses, was that tomorrow night?
Yeah, Pac-12 tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, I believe, Eastern. I think it's when
All
that
right.
comes on.
Yeah.
I'll be live streaming that game, by the way, for everybody watching. So if y'all are gonna be watching the Pac-12 title game, I'll be streaming that tomorrow night.
All right. Yeah. Would it be right for me, because they would get in as the 4 seed, would it be right for me to assume that Georgia is just a better version of Michigan everywhere, maybe except for quarterback, maybe, possibly, maybe?
Yeah, I feel that way too. Like if you look at the 4 playoff teams, I think they all have different styles, except Georgia and Michigan, to me, I think are 2 very similarly styled football teams. And I think that's one of the reasons Michigan has become so good over the last couple of years. They built from the inside out, dominant lines of scrimmage, offensively and defensively, a ground game, a legitimate ground game that's hard to stop. And on defense, they do a good job of stopping the run. And as much as we all love to watch the highlight plays of Jalen Hyatt catching 50-yard touchdown passes, that doesn't make up for having a defense that can't stop a nosebleed. And we've just seen that year after year. And that's to a lesser degree, Ohio State finds themselves in a similar situation right now. Now, they've got a better defense than Tennessee, but they're too finesse. The style of offense that they play has rubbed off on the defense. And Michigan's not that way. Michigan is a ground and pound team with big lines of scrimmage, a quarterback who probably is not going to carry your team for you, but is probably not going to lose the game for you either. He's probably a little bit more gifted throwing the ball than Stetson Bennett is. So, yeah, I think Georgia and Michigan style-wise are 2 very similar teams. And in a matchup like that, I'll take the more talented of the 2 teams. And not by a lot, but that's Georgia right now. I mean, Georgia is, whether you look at recruiting rankings or whatever else you want to look at, roster talent, whatever, Georgia's a slightly more talented version of Michigan. And as good as Jim Harbaugh's been the last couple of years, I think Georgia overall has a better coaching staff. And when you're talking about 2 teams as similar as Michigan and Georgia, things like coaching staffs matter. I trust Kirby and Glenn Schumann and Will Muschamp to come up with a game plan to slow Michigan down more so than I trust Michigan's defensive staff to come up with a game plan to slow Georgia down, and vice versa on offense. I think Todd Monken's the best offensive coordinator in football. I think he's a genius. I think he should be making $5 million a year. So I'll take Georgia in that matchup, and it's not a slight against Michigan. I think Michigan is definitely the second best team in the country, and I think it'll be a much better game between Georgia and Michigan than it was last year. I think a lot of Michigan's problem last year, I think the moment was a little too big for them. It was their first trip to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And they kind of got a little overwhelmed there in the beginning, and you know how Georgia is. It's hard to come back on Georgia once they get a 14, 17-point lead, anything like that, because they sit on the ball. They'll pound you to death with 3-yard runs, eat all the clock off, and it just wears you out.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with Michigan last year.
Yeah, I know they got good lines of scrimmage. They took our center in the transfer portal last year, Alama Tue or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
He was a great player for us. So, anyways, I have, I was thinking about the good old college football playoff being expanded. I think it's going to be great, even if it ends up just being the 4 same teams in that'd be technically the Final Four, semifinals. I guarantee we'll have some great games in the first round, especially with those home playoff games. That'll be amazing.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, and maybe one year, once every decade or something, we'll have a case of, ironically enough, Georgia in their 2007, I believe, basketball. They had a terrible season, and then they won the SEC tournament.
That was the year the tornado came through the Georgia Dome. Yeah.
Yeah, they played 2 games in the same day.
Yeah.
I mean, so I think we'll see something like that where an 8-4 team somehow on some really bad day or really bad year for a conference sometimes. I think we will see that eventually sneak in, and that'll be the big old Cinderella story of the year. They'll probably get destroyed by 40 in the playoffs, but hey, it'll be one of those weird seasons that everybody remembers back sort of fondly.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited for it.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Hey, great call, and I'll see you later, dude.
All right, buddy.
Love your videos.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you coming on. It was good to hear from you. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, doing good.
Okay, so as a Georgia fan, it seems that like, and everybody said this, and there's like different opinions on it, that like our offense has kind of like closed the playbook, and like when we have like these three tight ends, we have Brock Bowers, Darnell Washington, and now it's pretty much Oscar Delp because Eric Gilbert's like MIA.
Yeah.
And everybody's tried to like every team has tried to shut down Brock because best tight end in the nation, obviously. Who do you want to see going into the postseason as like a standout player? Because obviously Ladd, Brock, and trying to get Darnell and Kenny the ball as much as we can seems to be our main four targets, other than just running the ball right up the middle. So who do you want to see going forward mainly?
Yeah, well, I don't think a lot's going to change in terms of who we're targeting. I do expect Brock Bowers to be a bigger part of the overall game plan starting this weekend against LSU, and then of course the two playoff games. Than maybe what we've seen the last 4 or 5 weeks. I think we'll see more of the Brock Bowers that we saw over the first 3 or 4 games of the season. I think he'll get targeted a lot more. I would love to say I would love to talk about Darnell Washington in this, but I've been waiting on Darnell Washington to be given opportunities for 2 years, and it's just not happening. When you look at all Georgia's short yardage problems and red zone issues when they get close in, not being able to get a yard, not being able to score touchdowns inside the 5-yard line, and then you realize we've only thrown the ball to Darnell Washington in the end zone 3 times in 3 years, it's head-scratching. I don't understand it.
It is.
What is Darnell, I think, has 2 touchdowns in his career. That's unacceptable. I don't understand that. And you can watch when we get down in the red zone, and LSU and Michigan and whoever else, if y'all are listening, close your ears. But when we get inside the 20-yard line, whoever Stetson Bennett's going to throw the ball to, that's the only person he looks at from the time the ball is snapped. That's it. And it's never Darnell Washington. It's Ladd McConkey 90% of the time, Brock Bowers 5% of the time, and Marcus Rosemy 5% of the time. But whoever he's going to throw it to, as soon as the ball is snapped, he stares at him the entire time. So, and like I said, it's never Darnell Washington. So I don't know if for whatever reason Stetson Bennett doesn't trust Darnell Washington down there. I don't know what the deal is. But it's unacceptable to have a 6'8" tight end, and the guy's only ever been thrown the ball in the end zone 3 times in 3 years. That's ridiculous. I don't get it. I love Todd Monken, but I don't know what's going on there. I have no
Yeah, and
idea.
like you can like see like when you're watching Georgia play, if Darnell's not like at the tight end position, like on the line, and he's split out, he's either with three guys, him, Brock, or Ladd, or he's like singulated on one side. And everybody knows when you're a 6'7", 6'8" tight end, and you're in the end zone, it's probably just going to be an easy fade route. And
Yeah, I don't
like,
understand.
that's
I've seen Stetson Bennett throw fade routes from the 15-yard line to Ladd McConkey. Nothing against Ladd McConkey, but he's the shortest receiver on the team. Why are we throwing jump balls to Ladd McConkey when you've got Darnell Washington? It just makes no sense.
It really doesn't. Another thing, it's kind of seemed how since Georgia played Tennessee and South Carolina played Tennessee, all these volunteer fans have just disappeared off the face of the earth. How you feel about that?
Yeah, well, instead of crying about how they can beat Georgia and they're winning the national title, now they're crying because they don't want to play in the Cotton Bowl. And this is ridiculous. You're talking about a team here who hasn't played in a major postseason game in 20 years, and they're mad because they might have to go to the Cotton Bowl instead of the Orange Bowl. You talk about ridiculous things to be mad about. Tennessee should be sucking Josh Heupel's toes that they're anywhere near any New Year's Six bowl. But the nerve of these people to cry and complain and bitch and moan because they might have to play in the Cotton Bowl instead of the Orange Bowl, unbelievable. Of course, we all know the real reason why. They got to play Tulane if they go to the Cotton Bowl. They're probably going to lose to Tulane. And then for 8 months, they have to listen to me laugh about them losing to Tulane. That's why they don't want to go to the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, it's been years since it's felt like Tennessee's been relevant, but I mean, I've always been a fan of Hyatt and Hooker. And I think when they came together, they were a good mix. But if you look just like into like hardcore depth, when they're both not at their best, their offense is just shit. Like, yeah, they have other elements on the team, but that's their two main guys.
I'm very
and-
interested to see how Tennessee does next year, because I don't think anybody is ever completely sold on any team because they have one good year. So I'm curious to see what happens with Tennessee next year when they don't have Hendon Hooker, they don't have Jalen Hyatt. Now, I guess Brew McCoy will be back. Cedric Tillman, I don't know about him. Maybe somebody in the comments knows if he's going to be gone. I don't know. Cedric Tillman and Jalen Hyatt, I don't know. Brew McCoy, I know I guess is coming back, but
How do you
next
feel
year's an
about-
important year for Tennessee, because Tennessee needs to prove that what they did this year is repeatable and sustainable. And I'm not even saying they have to go 10-2 next year, but they need to go 8-4 or better. If they go back to 5, 6, 7 wins, then that's a bad sign, I think.
How do you think Joe Milton is? I mean, he's
not as good as
start?
Hendon Hooker. So, I mean, and you can't. No one can argue that he is, because we've seen him play. We saw him start last year. He wasn't any good. Now he's had a whole nother year to learn the system, so I don't think he'll be as bad next year as he was at the start of the year last year. But he's not as good as Hendon Hooker. I mean, we've seen that with our own eyes.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if he gets, he has experience. He played at Michigan, I believe, and then he transferred down to Tennessee. I mean, he's got a hell of an arm. He's good at making reach. He just can't complete passes. But
Joe Milton?
Well,
yeah,
I feel
Tennessee fans call him Overthrow Joe. He overthrows everything. But I mean, well, I'm not going to get started on the whole gimmick offense thing, but that's what it is. It's a gimmick. And so Tennessee's got to worry about, do they have the players that can run that offense at the same level it was ran at this year, next year? And number two, is it going to be a triple option situation where the more you play against that offense, the more you figure it out? Georgia clearly has figured it out. Now, they've got a lot of talent. That helps. But teams are going to start to figure that out. South Carolina doesn't have the talent Georgia does. They played a similar scheme against Tennessee, though. Now, it didn't work as good as Georgia because they don't have the talent. But I'm just curious. I'm not convinced that Tennessee suddenly is forget 10 win. I'm not even convinced Tennessee is suddenly a 9-win program because of what I saw this year. They had a really good year. I can point to a lot of teams that were 5, 6, 7 win teams, then won 9 or 10 games, and then went right back to winning 5, 6, 7 games. I'm not saying that's what Tennessee is going to do, but I'm curious to see.
I mean, there's a high chance they could go back to being that mediocre level of team they have. Like, even you said something about how their offense this year was.
They got to play at Florida next year, at Bama. They dodge LSU. They don't play LSU. I don't know who else they play from the West. I have no idea. I know they play Bama at Bama, Florida at Florida. Georgia, they host Georgia at home. They get South Carolina at home. So I don't know. Their non-con schedule is easy. They play Virginia. And then
if they just run that mediocre offense, complete one pass, and then immediately just get to the line and run, and they have like 11 different plays, you said? Like,
that's not what I said. That's what Jalen Hyatt said.
Yeah.
Jalen Hyatt said they have 11 plays. And I believe him.
I just think they're going to be another trash team, just like how they usually are. Just one good year. That's it.
Yeah, well, we'll find out.
Well, I appreciate you, man.
All right,
Can I get to go, Dogs?
Yeah, appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Good morning, Uncle Lou.
Yeah, good morning.
I think we can be excited about the expansion and the new opportunities for teams to get in the playoffs, but at the same time, I think we can also look and be sad about what we're going to be leaving behind. The meaningful regular season games. I mean, the games will still be meaningful, but where every game matters now, that isn't the case anymore. But
yeah, some
I'm
of
still
the biggest
excited.
games will have a little bit less meaning, and a lot of meaningless games will have more meaning.
Yeah, and I'm a Wisconsin fan, so over the last decade under this new format, we'd have made the playoffs a couple times, which is exciting to know that we'll be hosting a game. Actually, my biggest complaint though I'm more of a traditionalist, so I'd have loved to see 6 or 8 instead of 12, but I get that was never on the table. But 12 is, I guess, better than 4. But my biggest complaint with how they're setting up the current format is I really wish they would have home sites for the quarterfinals too, campus games.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel, but I think the bowls are just kind of silly to rotate them, and it's just like why are we wasting our time with bowls instead of just having them on campus and giving those top seeds an even bigger advantage, so it's like more meaningful to actually win out instead of resting.
It's a way to try to appease both sides of the argument. These people that are still attached to the bowl structure, and you've got a lot of powerful people that make a lot of money off of this bowl system, and they don't want to let it go.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a way to appease both groups of people, the people that want a true playoff, and the, I guess, traditionalists who want to kind of keep things the way they are. My issue with bowl games, it sort of ties into home games, but really my thing is travel for fans.
Mm-hmm.
You're just asking a lot for, let's say you're a Georgia fan and you live in Valdosta, Georgia. You're asking a Georgia fan to travel 3.5, 4 hours to Atlanta the first weekend of December to watch Georgia in the SEC title game.
Yep.
2 weeks later, you're asking them to travel to Athens for a first-round home playoff game. Let's say they're ranked 5th in this particular year. You're asking them to travel to Athens then for a home playoff game. A week or 10 days later, you're asking them to travel, in theory, to Dallas, Texas for the Cotton Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And then 8 days after that, you're asking them to travel to Pasadena, California for a national title game. You're asking them to make 3-4 plane trips in 30 days at Christmas time.
Yeah.
That's unrealistic for most human beings on this planet.
Yeah.
And so for that reason, I would favor more home games.
Yeah.
But as far as it doesn't bother me in theory that the quarterfinal game would be in the Rose Bowl. That doesn't really bother me. I like that they're doing some home games, so I'm like, okay, I can deal with the quarterfinal games being in the Rose Bowl. And if you get a bye and you've got enough money, you can travel to the Rose Bowl for the quarterfinal game and then, let's say, Miami for a national title game, if that's what you want to do. But there's another one in between there. So even if you get the bye, you still got to play 3 games.
Yeah.
If you get a bye, you got to play the quarterfinal, the semifinal, and the national title. So, like Georgia this year would have a bye. They'd still have to play in, let's say, in theory, it's possible, Georgia would have to play in the Sugar Bowl, then the Fiesta Bowl, and then the national title game in L.A. in 3 consecutive weeks.
Yeah.
I don't know very many, I know it's the internet and everybody's a millionaire. I don't know very many people that can afford to do that 3 weeks in a row.
No.
You're talking about plane tickets, hotel rooms, the ticket to the game, the money that it costs to spend while you're there. You're talking about three trips that are all going to cost thousands of dollars each in a 4-week period. That's a lot to ask a fan to do. A lot.
Yeah. Do you think
it's going to hurt attendance? There's no question it's going to hurt attendance.
Yeah. I was talking about that on Reddit with some other users, and they were talking like they were thinking a lot of these bowl games are not going to fill capacity with travel. There's no way fans can do it all. Maybe they will. I mean, I'm sure some people will go, but I'm sure it'll be mostly.
I mean,
full.
you'll get some lucky situations like the Peach Bowl happens to be in the state of Georgia, so anytime Georgia's in the Peach Bowl, that's a pretty easy game for Georgia fans to go to. Any year that Southern Cal's in the playoffs, if they happen to find themselves in the Rose Bowl, great. A lot of their fans will be able to go. Maybe even the Fiesta Bowl. They can travel to Arizona maybe. But there's also going to be a lot of years where, in theory, a team like Southern Cal's quarterfinal playoff game is the Orange Bowl in Miami. And if they win, 8 days later, maybe they're playing in the Sugar Bowl in Atlanta. So they're flying from L.A. to Miami, back to L.A., and then 7 days later flying to Atlanta. That's a lot to ask. And like I said, I know everybody's a millionaire on the internet, but that's a lot of money you're going to have to fork out if you want to go to all those games.
Yeah. I guess the only other thing I kind of want to ask you, just sort of like up until 1998, we didn't really even declare like a national champion. And now we're at 12. Do you think like in 10 years we'll look back and be like, I miss when we had a 14 playoff? Or do you think this will just be really successful?
No, I think it'll be fine. I don't think anybody's going to miss the 14 playoff.
All right. Thanks for taking my call and have a good day.
All right, buddy. Yeah, appreciate you coming on. It was good to hear from you. How y'all doing in the comments? Y'all hanging in there? Make sure you hit the thumbs up if you hadn't already. That's a big help. We're going to get right back to the phone calls here in a second. There's still a room full of people waiting back there. Make sure you hit the thumbs up if you hadn't already. That's a big help. If you'd like to help support the show or the channel, you got Super Chat, Cash App, PayPal. They're all in the description of the video. I'll post the links in the chat real quick for you too. But they're all in the description of the video. There you go. You can attach a note, question, comment, troll attempt, whatever you want, and I'll be happy to read it and respond. Just keep in mind that I will be responding appropriately based on the question or the comment that you ask. Keep that in mind. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou. All right. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou. It's you, Josh. All right. Thank you very much. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Dang, those last two callers, they haven't gotten to that point in the show already.
What's up, Jace?
Nothing much, but going off of what the last guy was saying about the playoffs. So, how do you think that'll stack up with a 12 team compared to what the NFL playoffs do and how that is?
Well, I mean, there's a couple of different ways to look at it. I made the point a minute ago. I think it was 2 seasons ago when Tampa Bay won the Super Bowl. They were the worst playoff team. They had to play 3 road playoff games. They won them all, and then they won the Super Bowl. So if that would have been a seeding deal, they would have been the worst seeded team in the playoffs, and they won it. Also, there's only 32 teams in the NFL, and 12 of them make the playoffs. That's a third. That's 33% almost, or it's more than 33%. There's 130 playoff eligible teams. So we're talking about 8 or 9% of the teams getting into the playoffs. It's not like we're putting, because I hear this comment a lot, and somebody left it on my video earlier. Oh, it's just turning into a participation trophy now. No, if you think a 12-team playoff is equivalent to a participation trophy, then you don't think there's a real national championship or world title on planet Earth anywhere. Because even at 12 teams, college football has the lowest percentage of teams getting into the postseason of any major sport on the planet.
Yeah. Well, going off that, then is March Madness a participation award? Then it's got 68 teams.
Right. Yeah. And look how successful it is. Now, this is where the people who are against expansion have a point, because the regular season in college basketball is the most irrelevant regular season in all of sports because of the 68 team, and it's going up higher than that in a couple of years. They're raising it again. On top of that, they have the and football is going this way too, but the difference in the what I'm getting at is, and you notice in basketball, if you win your conference tournament, you automatically get in the NCAA tournament, right?
Yeah.
So in theory, in college basketball, you can go 0-35 in the regular season. You've still got a chance to make the NCAA tournament. All you got to do is win 4 games in a row at the end. That's it.
Exactly.
Now, football's guaranteeing some conference champions get in, but in order to get into a conference championship game, you have to already be a good team. So it's not like college basketball where, this would be like putting Vandy in the SEC title game and saying, all right, Vandy, you were 0-12, but if by some miracle you beat Alabama in the SEC title game, we'll let you go to the playoffs. College football isn't doing that. So, no, it's not a participation trophy. It's not water. If you think it's watered down, then you think every other sport on the entire planet is watered down, because college football is still going to have by far the lowest percentage of teams in the postseason compared to any other major sport on the planet.
No, exactly. And I was asking that earlier about the NFL deal because like all their playoff games are home games,
Yeah,
and all that. So I feel like if the NCAA did, like, I know like you have people who like, care about the bowl games and all that stuff, but I'm saying like if they did do that and it was just all like home games and all that, like it would definitely make travel a lot easier on the fans. Just to probably have to make one trip for the national title.
And here's the only thing we have to remember: if they do that, the bowls are done. They're just it'll be over that minute. Then you just have to do away with the bowls altogether if that happens. And maybe that's where it goes. I don't know. I don't really want that to happen, but if none of the best 12 teams in the country are playing in what's the Rose Bowl going to be if it's not a playoff game? Like this year it would really be nothing. Like, okay, Penn State, Michigan, and Ohio State would all be in the playoffs. So what would the Rose Bowl be left with? Purdue versus Michigan State? Or Purdue versus Oregon.
Yeah,
so
stuff.
Yeah. To me, the only argument in getting rid of neutral site playoff games is the travel that the fans would have to do. Everything else is bad for college football if you go to the home games for all of those. So I don't know.
Yeah, because I get like certain fan bases, they travel really well, but then like having to do it over and over again for those certain, because like normally during Christmas season and New Year's, you're saving up all that money for one bowl game. You're not normally like trying to go out and do it for 3 straight weeks for thousands of dollars for one game. Really.
Yeah, look, I went to the Georgia Tech game this past weekend, and that was by no means like one of the biggest games of the season for Georgia or anything like that. Mm-hmm. It cost me, all in all, for two of us to go, it probably cost me $700 or $800.
Oh God!
And that's only an hour and a half car ride, But I'm talking tickets, gas, parking, all that. It's probably so. You talk about an SEC title game. Okay, what would it cost 2 people to go to that? Okay, and now tell them 10 days later they got to fly to Dallas to go to the Cotton Bowl. What's that going to cost? And then if they win that game, 10 days later they got to fly to Miami for the Orange Bowl. Okay, and if you win that game, 10 days after that you got to fly to wherever, L.A., wherever the national title game is. I mean, that's talking about a lot of money if a fan's going to try to go to all 3 of those games. A lot of money.
Yeah. And going off of Tennessee a little bit, I don't understand. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I don't understand why the fans are upset about the Cotton Bowl or Orange Bowl, whatever New Year's game they get. I'm just honestly happy with any of them because Tennessee hasn't been that relevant in so long. So I'm just happy with whatever game they get. They can play whoever, if it's Tulane or Clemson or whoever they play. I mean, that's still a great accomplishment for Tennessee, and it's only a year or 2 of Heupel, and look what he's working with. They haven't even gotten their entire roster filled up yet because of
Well, and the thing is, all New Year's Six bowls now are equally prestigious. Now, because you're an SEC team, then the Sugar Bowl is the one you want to go to because that's just been the SEC game for 50 years or whatever. Right. So, okay, once though, you're not going to the Sugar Bowl, there really shouldn't be much difference in a fan's mind between whether you get picked for the Orange or the Cotton, because those are as far as the prestige level or whatever, those are both New Year's Six bowls. That's the highest you can get without the playoffs. It's a great bowl game. I still love it. Look, Georgia's only made the playoffs twice. This is going to be the 3rd time. I've loved it every single time when Georgia has twice in the Sugar Bowl. You know, we lost to Texas, then we beat Baylor, the Peach Bowl against Cincinnati. I loved all of those games. Yeah, I was disappointed Georgia wasn't in the playoffs, but those were great games. I loved those games. And all three of them were good games, too.
Yeah, like bowl season, especially. I mean, we can say that for like just what we've grown up with. I mean, I'm only 19, but like still, I've grown up and watched bowl season and all that, and I like it.
Yeah.
Like watching, last year, see, like that's another thing with playoffs. You're gonna have less of the opt outs. That's gonna have more people playing, like because like the Michigan State and Pitt game. You're gonna you had no Kenneth Walker, no Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, it wasn't even worth watching. You had the two best players on each team quit and didn't play. Yeah, no, you're exactly right. Now, I want Tennessee to go to the Orange Bowl because I think Tennessee versus Clemson would be a hell of a game.
Exactly.
Football-wise and internet-wise, because there's a lot of Clemson-Tennessee stuff going on. Like you got the comments Dabo made about flipping burgers, and then Dabo turns around and loses to the same team. You know, you got that angle. You've got the you've got the Rob Sanders angle over on the Carolina Jackpot Show where he's been riding Tennessee fans all year. Now it turns out his team might have to play Tennessee in the Orange Bowl. Like, I want to see that game. But from just a purely like, oh, no, we're being disrespected because they're sending us to the Cotton Bowl, I don't get that argument at all.
Yeah, I really don't understand it really at all. But yeah, Tennessee, they are intriguing in my mind, like you said, to look at next year because they are losing Hendon Hooker and Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah.
And also, I'm not saying like it's going to be an immediate impact, but their 23 class, I mean, they haven't signed yet, but
yeah, it looks good though.
True.
Yeah, it looks
If
good.
it holds true, then it is a defensive heavy class more. So I think if they can keep those guys, then we can see some improvement in defense, and I would hope so. But I do think they'll take a step or two back and be around 8-4, 9-3 if they can win the same, like not the same games as this year, but like if they can beat Florida again consistently.
I think that's a key game next year, the Florida game. You play them there, so just that alone is a little bit more difficult. But like beating a team once, that's great. But like if you beat them twice, then you like establish yourself as a peg higher than them in the pecking order. You know what I mean? Anybody can. Like I don't think South Carolina's ahead of Tennessee in the SEC pecking order just because South Carolina beat you this year. You know what I mean? Right. And so, if Tennessee could beat Florida a second year in a row, and look, Florida's going to have a mess at the quarterback situation. I know they're wanting to get Sam Hartman from Wake Forest, but Anthony Richardson, if he leaves, and now their backup, Kitna, is done. So who knows what Florida's going to be next year. Y'all could definitely go down there and beat them. That would be huge. You know, then you got to go to Tuscaloosa, but you get Georgia and Athens. So it's an interesting season. You should go 4-0 in the non-con because don't you play Virginia, right? That's the non-con, and then three lower teams.
Yeah, it's like Virginia, UConn, and two other scrubs.
Yeah. So that should be 4 wins there.
And they have their rotating West team is Texas A&M, I think.
Oh, okay. Where do you know?
It's here in Knoxville.
Okay. Well, see, like right now, if you polled 100 people, most of them would pick Tennessee, I think, to win that game next. So you know, Tennessee's setting up for I don't think Tennessee's going to fall off the cliff and go 5-7, but I'm curious to see where they land in the 8+ range.
Yeah. I do think it also helps them to be consistent around the 8, 9, 10 win range.
Oh yeah.
They're not like a Minnesota or teams like that because they back it up with recruiting. Like they have a top 10, 15 class almost every year.
Yeah.
Like they can back that up every year.
Well, and if you're getting to the point where you're consistently winning 9 or 10 games a year and you have a pop season, that's when you win 13, 14, or 15. You know, Tennessee had a pop season this year based off of they've been winning 5 and 6 games, so their pop season equaled 10-2. If you can get to the point, kind of like where Georgia was at right before Kirby got there. Georgia was winning 9, 10, every once in a while, 11 games a year, but, they were just kind of hovering around there. Mm-hmm. And then 2017, Georgia had that pop season, and they found themselves in the national title game. Now, it took them a couple of years to get back to the playoffs after that, but, yeah, once you get to where you're consistently winning 8, 9+ games a year, you're in striking distance at that point where if a few things go right in any given year, you could find yourself in the playoffs, especially now that we're going to 12.
Yeah. But yeah, that's really all I had. Thank you for taking my call in. Have a good rest of your show.
All right, Jace, appreciate you calling in, buddy. Good to hear from you. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Well, this is awkward because I'm basically here to shit on Jace and his team, the Tennessee Volunteers.
Well, there's
It was the only purpose of me calling in.
Yeah, well, we love that around here, so feel free to shit on the Tennessee man.
Yeah, so the only I want to give you a big pat on the back because you never pat yourself on the back. So I'll pat you on the back. You said this in one of your videos before Tennessee even beat Alabama this year. You made a prediction, and I'm going to more or less paraphrase it here. You said Tennessee will not win the division. They will not play in the SEC championship game. Obviously not winning it because they won't even play in it. They will not make a playoff game. Therefore, they will not win a playoff game. They won't obviously play in the national championship. Therefore, they cannot win a national championship. You said all of this before they even beat Alabama.
Damn, I got a few things right this year. That's good.
Yeah,
Glad you
you
remember
did.
that.
And so here's the beautiful part, Lou. Tennessee this year has won absolutely nothing that can be hung on a banner or set on a shelf.
Damn.
They've won nothing. And here's the kicker. This is the best season they've had in 17 years.
Well, maybe they'll get lucky and get a Cotton Bowl "We Beat Tulane" trophy to cap off their season.
Maybe, you know what? I didn't think about that. I don't think they will, but mainly because, the point is their best season in 17 years results in nothing. Nothing.
Wow.
That's all I had to say for this call, Lou.
Yeah.
Thanks
Man,
for having me.
It's really depressing for the Tennessee man when you put it that way. But my man had nothing but facts there. Good morning, but you're on with Uncle Lou, though.
Damn, man. Tennessee just ain't showed me nothing yet.
Oh, man. Don't say that.
No. I was, you brought this up a little bit ago, Lou, and what I think is so cool about this 12-team playoff, and there's obviously a lot of kinks in it. Hopefully things will get worked out, but those home games for the 5 through 8 teams, I guess, or, I think about, I hate two-team homer type guys, but I'm an App State guy. Went to school at App State. Parents were at school there, got a daughter, went to UGA, got family ties in Georgia. But I think about back when, and I'm not comparing, the old 1AA level of football to what we're going to see in the 12-team playoff. But, back in the day when we were making those playoff runs and having those home playoff games, when we would play, say, Georgia Southern or James Madison or those regional or even conference rivals, can you imagine what it would be like if UGA played Auburn with a home playoff game?
Yeah.
I mean, it like you said, it'd be a zoo. And I think that's just something that I thought about as I was, thinking about what's this going to mean it's going to, I just think it could be really, really cool with some of those matchups. And obviously that's not going to happen every year. It might take a few years for it to happen, but, I just think it could bring a whole lot of excitement to the quote unquote postseason. And you're dead on when you said, I think the folks that say, well, we're going with a participation trophy. That's a bunch of bullshit, because it's not the same as, March Madness and the 64 teams. You still got to be a damn good team to win your conference, to be able to get into the playoffs. And you still got to be a really good team to even be one of those 6 at-large bids too.
Yeah.
So
we've kind of gotten in the habit, I think, in the college football world of, and I'm guilty of this too. Well, if you're not in the playoffs, you're not any good. And so what we're saying is that there's only 4 good teams a year, and like, really, we all know that's not true. It's more trash talking than anything. Like, how many times have I told Alabama fans Alabama ain't no good? Well, of course Alabama's good. They're one of the best 6 or 7 teams in the country. Of course Ohio State is good. So once we go to 12 playoff teams, we'll be telling the 13th ranked team that, right? Whoever's sitting there at 13th will be going, well, you ain't no good. Of course, so yeah, there's going to be great matchups in the 5 to 12 range, and having them at on campus is going to be unbelievable. And like I said earlier, someone not ranked 1 through 4 is going to win a national title, and it's not going to take very long.
No, it's not going to take long at all. I mean, it's going to be the exception as opposed to the rule, because I think that, and I think probably the BCS, and then when we've moved into the playoffs, have shown that pretty much year in, year out, the system pretty much works, and we're going to see those, but it's going to happen. There's no doubt about it, and it's probably going to happen sooner rather than later. So, but anyway, man, thanks for your show. Appreciate what you do. But yeah, you just got me thinking about that. I think that could be. You hit the nail on the head. That could be so much fun. Those, again, think about it. Throw any out there. Damn, anything could happen. Hell, Auburn playing Alabama in Tuscaloosa in a playoff game.
And I've been talking a lot about fans not having money to travel to these games and stuff like that. But what about? I didn't even mention students. When have you ever watched any bowl game or any playoff game or any national title game that had a student section? Never.
Oh, that's a great point,
never.
Man.
And you're going to see that now. You're going to see that now.
Yeah.
Your average
absolutely.
UGA student will have a chance at some point to see a playoff game in Sanford Stadium. Your average South Carolina, Alabama, Tennessee, Ohio State, whatever, that maybe doesn't have rich parents or can't afford to get on a plane and travel to a bowl game or a playoff game, you're going to have student sections at a playoff game. The atmosphere is going to be unbelievable. Yeah. Hey, thank you for the call. It was good to hear from you. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou, though.
Hey, Lou, it's Chris.
Hey, what's up, bud?
We kind of discussed it yesterday on Jackpot's show. What
did you like did you like the baby calling up and crying thing that I did?
That was solid. Do you think Alabama deserves to be ahead of Tennessee? I don't think I've asked you that.
Let's see, deserves.
No,
probably not. No. Probably not. No.
If you're looking at for the playoffs, people say, "Oh, if Alabama stuck into the playoffs, they'd give a good game." I'm not sure I believe that, because they've lost to every team 9 wins or more. I can't imagine what a 12-0 team or a 13-0 team would do to them. Yeah. And they've struggled with every 8-win team they've played. So I'm just not sure. And that's my thing with I know that guy called in and said we should be happy with whatever bowl. That's a defeatist attitude. I understand Tennessee's not been to a good bowl or an elite bowl like that for years. But that's why they deserve the Sugar Bowl over the Cotton Bowl. In the Cotton Bowl, yeah, the payout's the same. Yeah, the prestige is the same. It's a Monday noon bowl. I would rather be on Bourbon Street partying my nuts off.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. Yeah.
And going instead of Dallas in the wintertime and having to wake up at 8 o'clock to go to an 11 a.m. bowl or 12 noon bowl that time. And that's my thing. And Alabama, like you said, Alabama, if they don't make the playoffs, which they likely won't, they're going to go to the Sugar Bowl. Bryce Young ain't going to play in it. It's going to be the most boring game ever. Kansas State's going to come in there, give them their best game, probably beat the piss out of them, and then it's going to be, well, we'll be there. And then meanwhile, Tennessee, they may give their best effort. Tulane's going to give their best effort. It's probably going to be a good game, hopefully. And if we win, it's you only beat Tulane, shut the hell up. And then if we lose, it's you fucking lost to Tulane, loser.
Yeah. No, I hear you. The same thing happened. I didn't want to play Cincinnati in the Peach Bowl for the same reason, because it's a no-win situation as a fan. And I know Tulane's a good team. You know Tulane's a good team. I know Cincinnati was a good team in 2020. You know that. But
Tulane has a better win than Alabama does.
Yeah, in the trash talk world, though, it's still Cincinnati and Tulane. So Georgia beats a top 7 Cincinnati team on a last-second field goal, and all I heard for 8 months was that Georgia's terrible because they only beat Cincinnati by a field goal. So I get it. And the same thing will happen with Tennessee and Tulane. You'll get no credit for beating them. And then, God forbid you lose, you're going to have to hear about it for 8 months. I get it.
The best case scenario, and I hate to screw over USC, is USC losing tomorrow night and Ohio State sneaking in, and then that way they don't have to get pity fucked into the Orange Bowl because
believe me,
we
I'd
don't wanna
love
go
that.
to the Rose Bowl.
I'd love that because then I'd get to see Georgia. I'm curious too if Georgia were to get matched up with Ohio State in the first round playoff game. I'm curious where a lot of other SEC fans would land on that game because I know two things: they hate Uncle Lou, and they hate Ohio State.
Well,
those two things
I
I
hate
know.
Georgia. I grew up in Georgia from middle school on up. My mom met my stepdad, and I moved to North Georgia. And I grew up in Georgia. I hate Georgia. Been a Tennessee fan my whole life. But as a realist, Ohio State wouldn't come within 28 points of in a dome in a neutral site dome, especially in Atlanta.
In Atlanta, yeah.
They're good.
Yeah.
They would work Ohio State like they owed them money, and I think they would do the same to Alabama. They do the same to Tennessee again. I think Michigan is honestly the only team in America that could give Georgia if Georgia comes into that game, which Georgia's worst habit this year has been, we're just going to roll our helmet in. It's just Kentucky or it's just Missouri. But if they get up for the game like they did for Tennessee, like they did for Oregon, they'll beat your brains in.
Yeah.
And I think they'll do the same thing to an Ohio State or a TCU or whoever they get, even Alabama. I think Michigan's the only team that could come in there and kind of slow the ball down and kind of do what Georgia does and sit on the ball and not give Brock Bowers as many opportunities to run for 70-yard, jet sweeps and stuff like that. And I think they're the only team in America that could do it. I think how many years ago was it that Ohio State got shut out in the first round? I think that would happen again. I think that could happen.
They lost 31-0. Yeah. Let me ask you one more thing before I let you go about Ohio State and kind of the Big Ten in general. Getting back to this thing about some home playoff games. How long have we had to hear Ohio State fans and Big Ten fans cry, "Oh, if the SEC had to play a road game up north in November, they'd get beat by 40 points because it's cold." I can't fucking wait until some 9th or 10th ranked SEC team goes up to Columbus, Ohio the second week of December and beats the absolute fuck out of Ohio State in 20-degree weather. I cannot fucking wait.
Could you imagine it being like a Lane Kiffin type offense?
I'm almost willing to do whatever I got to do.
offense?
Georgia can blow. I hope Georgia loses 2 games in 2024. And finishes 8th or 9th, and Ohio State finishes whatever that would be 6th or whatever, and Georgia has to go to Columbus, Ohio, the second week of December, and just beats the absolute soul out of them in 15-degree weather. Nothing would make me happier.
They'll find a new excuse.
Oh yeah, they always do. They always do.
I can't wait. I can't wait till the California schools join them and they complain about, well, it was just too hot. We had to play them in September. And you know how hot it is in California in September? Like, it was miserable. But we'll see how it goes. But all right, man, thanks for taking my call. Hopefully USC loses tomorrow and we get that Orange Bowl we're all craving. And
hey, if y'all get matched up with Clemson in that Orange Bowl, I'm going to be the biggest Carolina jackpot of like I'm not going to miss a second of his shows for the entire month of December if y'all get matched. That's going to be such a great call-in show.
If we lose, I'm ghosting. No, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gone.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you later.
See ya.
All right, bye. Oy, oy, oy. Kevin Hackshaw, thank you for hitting the super chat tonight to help support the show, sir. I really appreciate that. He says, Lou, how you doing? Hashtag 1998. I'm doing great, Kevin. I hope you are too. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Your mom is now a member of the channel. Thank you. Not sure whose mom that is. Not my mom. I know for a fact it's not my mom. She's not alive anymore. Dash Young, thank you for the super chat. Says, hey, Lou, longtime fan. Just want to say it feel good to be a dog fan. 912 section of the best state in the U.S. of A. Oh, your area code 912. Okay, what are you down? Statesboro, Savannah, isn't that where that is? Down there that way. Then your mom, thank you again, says, too bad the Gumps, corn dogs, and taters are wishing it was 2024. Yeah, they sure do. Then they could be getting ready for a playoff game. Instead, they're arguing over whether they're going to the Cotton Bowl, the Orange Bowl. Well, poor LSU. What are they doing? Where's LSU going? The Citrus Bowl? God. Does that even still exist? I don't know. Georgia's been in a playoff or a New Year's Six game every single year since 2017. I don't know anything about these lower tier bowl games anymore. It's just been so long since it's affected me in any way, you know. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Uncle Lou,
Hey,
can
what's
you
up,
hear
man?
me?
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to ask you just one quick question. Um, let's just say USC loses, okay?
Right.
And no, actually, let's just say USC wins. I'm sorry. And then TCU loses. Do you still think TCU gets in ahead of Ohio State in the fourth spot?
Yeah, I think TCU is in unless they get blown out. So maybe 17 or more points, something like that. But if it's a close game in the second half, if it's a competitive game, if they lose on a field goal at the end, if they lose by a touchdown or one possession game type of deal, I think they still get in.
Okay. Yeah, I was curious. I just feel like TCU would still get in because if I feel like Georgia will beat LSU probably soundly this Saturday. I just feel like Georgia and TCU would be a really good playoff game. I am a Georgia fan, but I don't know. I just kind of like seeing both of those teams want to go at each other. To be honest.
Yeah, I think Georgia wins too. I mean, there's a lot of motivation here. I know Georgia's in the playoffs either way, but there's additional motivation. An SEC title is still a big deal. This year's team's got a chance to do something that last year's team didn't do, which is win the SEC and potentially go 15-0. And then you've got the possibility of Georgia playing in the Peach Bowl if they win this weekend. Or if not, they're going to have to travel out to Arizona for the first round game. So there's a lot of motivation for Georgia to show up and play well in this game. So I think they'll get it done. Thank you for the calls. Good to hear from you. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Good morning, Lou. What's up?
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Hey, it's Goose Sports. What's up, man?
Oh, yeah, been
How
a
you doing
while.
today? Been a while, man. How you doing, man?
LSU must be in the SEC title game or something.
Something like that, huh?
Yeah.
Something. We're playing some team from the East, I think.
Yeah, I believe you are.
Yeah, it's not Tennessee, though, huh?
No, they ain't got no business anywhere near Atlanta.
So, man, so I know you troll a lot, but your honest opinion about Brian Kelly's job his first year.
I think anybody that wins a division in the SEC in their first year as a coach there has accomplished something. I don't care what anybody says about Alabama having a down year and all that stuff, which is true. The SEC West is the worst I've seen the SEC West in probably 15 years, since pre-Saban. I mean, Texas A&M is in the absolute toilet. Ole Miss and Mississippi State are basically 500 teams. Auburn had the worst year they've had in 10 years. It's just not a good year for the West overall. But that doesn't take away from the fact that, look, we can't sit around as SEC fans, and I'm not talking to LSU fans, I'm talking to other SEC fans. We can't sit around and talk about how hard the SEC is and then not give credit to someone that comes in, takes over what was really a bad team for 2 years in a row, and wins the division in their first year there. You can't discredit that. So I think Brian Kelly's done a good job. Nobody picked LSU to win the West. They were finished, I believe, fifth in the SEC West.
Yeah,
so,
fifth. I think they're picked. They're picked fifth. That was the.
And so they lose the SEC title game. Well, what does that mean? Well, they were division winners. They got a win against Bama. That's a good year. That's a good year almost any time, but particularly Brian Kelly's first year there when, let's be real, there wasn't a lot left to work with when he got there due to some departures and other things that happened there. Would you finish the season last year with 35 scholarship players or something like that?
I think they had 39 for the bowl game last year, scholarship players.
And really, to me, the most impressive thing, the recruiting. That's not helping you now, but that was a question I had about Brian Kelly because I know Notre Dame's got some restrictions that maybe don't apply to every other school. I get that, but I wasn't sure because he's not really from the area and familiar with the area and has relationships with the high school coaches in Florida and Louisiana and all. I wasn't sure how the recruiting would go. I know Brian Kelly's a good coach. Anybody that averages 10 wins over a 10-year period is a good coach. I don't care where you do it at. Oh, it's Notre Dame and they're not in the conference. Okay, great. How many coaches over the last 10 years have averaged 10 wins a year? 4, 5, something like that? I mean, Brian Kelly was basically Mark Richt in the Midwest. That's what he was. He was winning 10 games a year and nothing more. But there's a lot of people that would love to win 10 games. So I think he's a good coach. I had questions about the recruiting, but the recruiting has been good so far too. And I will see what happens with early signing day and get some flips or whatever. I don't know, but it looks like the recruiting is good. Like it's hard to find. I would love to be able to like pick on Brian Kelly because he's an easy guy to want to pick on. I don't really know what you point at with LSU and Brian Kelly this year to make fun of them. You got humiliated by home by Tennessee. That's really the only thing you can point at right now with LSU
The
and Brian
A&M
Kelly
game
to
was
laugh
really
at.
disturbing.
The who?
The A&M game last week.
Well, yeah,
Texas A&M.
yeah, that was bad. That was
because
bad.
that cost them the Sugar Bowl.
Yes.
Because if they'd have lost to Georgia and gone 10-3, they probably would have gone to the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah.
But now they have to win Saturday in order to get to the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah.
If they lose, they go into the Citrus Bowl.
That's a good point.
So, but yeah, that was really. I don't know what happened last week. I really don't. I mean, they just they laid an egg. They got their ass kicked.
Yeah, and I don't think Georgia's going to blow out LSU. I really don't. I think we'll get LSU's best effort in this game. I hate that Jaden Daniels might not be 100% because that's a big blow to what LSU wants to do offensively, and I don't know how. They're going to keep it a secret. I'm
he's
sure.
Going to play, but
I'm sure he's going to play. But how much running around can he do? Because that's just a huge part of what he does and what LSU's offense as a whole is able to do. A lot of that is built on his running ability. But I don't think Georgia's winning this game 45-10. I just don't. Now I'd love it if that happens, but I don't think that's going to happen. I'd be surprised if Georgia even covered the spread, and if they do, I think it's going to be pretty close to that. Spread's around 17. Maybe Georgia wins, 31-13, something like that. I don't think it's going to be like a 40-point game or anything.
You having to get together at your house or anything? Watching a game party?
No. I'm gonna not have anybody, or I'm gonna stream all the games that day. I usually only do that about once a year. I had everybody over for Georgia-Florida game this year. So no, just me.
Yeah, I think I'm going to my brother-in-law's house and do stuff, cook, grill, stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna have some good food.
Watch the Tigers win, but hopefully it's a good game.
It'll be a good game.
We don't embarrass ourselves.
Yeah, it'll be a good one. And no matter what happens in that game, this is a step forward for LSU based off where y'all been the last couple of years for sure. I think Brian Kelly has overachieved based off of what everyone's expectations were for his first year. Hey, Goose, thanks for coming on, buddy. Good luck to you in the game this weekend. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Oh, shit. Hey, Uncle Lou.
What's up, buddy?
So I just wanted to say I'm a USC fan for life.
The real one or USC Junior?
What's up?
The real USC or USC Junior?
No, the real USC.
Okay, Southern Cal. I got you.
Yeah. Man, I just found out about you actually last week. I was looking at YouTube.
Yeah, a lot of Southern Cal fans are going to find out about me over the next 30 days. I can promise you that. I'm going to make it my mission in life to piss every one of y'all off.
Yeah, great. So no, I thought you were absolutely hilarious. Actually, it was the live show when you were watching a bunch of games with also the USC Notre Dame game.
Oh yeah.
What was that?
I said, oh yeah. The last weekend.
Oh
Saturday night.
Yeah, last weekend. Man, dude, I'm a little bit disappointed with your conversation with Chris Foster.
Why is that?
Why? Because you said you would like USC to lose.
Oh, it's nothing well, now that's nothing against USC, and I picked USC to win. I think USC is going to win the game. I picked them to win. I only said that because I would love nothing more than to spend 3 weeks in December humiliating Ohio State fans leading up to a Georgia versus Ohio State game. But unfortunately for the Sucknut, that's not going to happen because I don't think Southern Cal's losing.
Yeah, no, but besides that, I didn't really give a shit. But I did want to mention that, yes, as a USC fan, I've been so disappointed for the past 6 years. But I've still been a diehard fan. I went to multiple games last year, and I don't even want to talk about that. But
you sound pretty young, but so you don't. I don't know. So the mid 2000s. So when were you? When were you born?
92.
92. Okay, so you at least remember the mid 2000s. I mean, Southern Cal had. It was a hell of a run
course.
then. Okay, all right.
Man, God. All right, I wanted to mention, obviously, the two teams that I hate the most. Obviously, UCLA and Notre Dame. Glad for both of those victories. It's been a while. Also, as a college football fan, absolutely hate Alabama. Sick and tired of seeing Alabama in the headlines every year.
Yeah.
And I've been rooting for Georgia every time they play. Number 2, Ohio State. Absolute worst fan base, degenerates, delusional.
So are you
Sick
looking
and
forward to
tired.
joining the Big Ten?
Absolutely.
I'll tell you, if I was a fan of a Pac-12 team, I would be excited about it. Like if I was a diehard college football fan of a Pac-12 team, I would be excited about joining the Big Ten because nothing against the Pac-12, but there are infinitely more like diehard college football fans in the Big Ten than there are in the Pac-12.
Of
So
course.
like
Exactly.
especially when it comes to like the online world, you'll have a lot more fun playing 8 or 9 Big Ten teams a year than you will playing 8 or 9 Pac-12 teams a year as a fan interacting online.
Exactly. Actually, I have to correct myself. I mentioned Alabama and Ohio State. I have to put Oklahoma fans at number 1. They're
yeah.
the absolute worst.
Yeah, someone
degenerates.
left a comment on one of my videos the other day that said this guy never talks about Oklahoma. He must be scared of them. I said I don't talk about Oklahoma for the same reason I don't talk about Vandy. Just
Exactly.
who cares? They're terrible. If you want me to talk about you, win some games.
Exactly. And I mean, obviously we got a new coach this year. How did that work out for them?
Oh yeah, they're so mad they can't see straight, man. They wanted y'all to go 0-12 this year, pretending like they didn't need Lincoln Riley. We're glad he's gone. We're glad he's gone. No. They're crying into their little house on the prairie reruns now. Turns out Brent Venables doesn't know what he's doing, and turns out Lincoln Riley can go to the playoffs no matter where he's coaching at. So yeah, big giant fail. Do you know they won't even say his name? You know? Do you know about this? Do you know what they call him now?
Well, from what I've seen on Twitter and whatnot, they just say LFR. That's all they say. They don't say Lincoln Riley.
No, well, around here, even when they type his name in the comments, they won't type his name out. They type TBOW. You know what that means?
TBOW.
That bitch out west.
Yeah.
That's what they call him. That bitch out west. They won't even say his name. They're so mad. They're like you know what it is? They're like a 7th or 8th grade girl whose date never showed up to take her to the dance. And they just can't get over it. They can't get over it. Lincoln Riley broke up with you sooner, man. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. He saw some greener grass on the other side. He got over there, and guess what? Turns out the grass really was greener.
Oh, yeah. It's greener, plus there's nice homes, a beautiful ocean view.
And plus, if you lose a game, when you're the head coach at Southern Cal, if you lose a home game, there's only 600 people there to see it.
Shit. Tell me about that.
That'll change, though.
Yeah, no.
That'll change. Cause I remember the mid 2000s, man. There wasn't in the mid 2000s. Those Southern Cal games, that was the place to be. Everybody, Will Ferrell on the sideline, Snoop Dogg. I mean, yeah, it'll get back to that if y'all have 1 or 2 good years in a row. It'll get back to that real quick.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, damn, it was nice talking to you, Lou.
Yeah, you too, buddy. I appreciate you tuning in, and hope to hear from you again. And find some more Southern Cal fans and drag them over here for me.
Oh yeah, of course.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it. Take it easy. Dash Young, thank you for the super chat. He says, "Hey, USC gives Reggie his Heisman back." No, I don't think they did. Did they? Maybe they did, and I missed it. What is that? CPAR, home of Nolan Smith. I don't know what CPAR is, but shout out to Nolan Smith though. Thank you for the super chats. Appreciate that. Justin, thank you for the Ray Bob. Thank you for the PayPal, Ray Bob. He says, "Thanks, Lou. Great show as always. Top tier college football talk and elite trash talk. Hunker down, dogs." You already know. Oh, no, wrong one again. Those 2 buttons are right next to each other. I need to change that. I keep accidentally hitting the shit kicking music instead of the Georgia music. I can't be doing that. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey Lou, how's it going?
Good.
So a lot of news around the transfer portal today. Big one, Cade McNamara going to Iowa. What do you think happens to Spencer Petras?
I don't even know who that is.
Their current quarterback.
Oh, I don't know. If a tree falls in the woods and no one's around to hear it, does it make a noise? I can't think of a more perfect fit in any aspect of life than Cade McNamara going to Iowa. A team that doesn't care about quarterbacks or offense in general, getting a quarterback that appears to not be able to run an offense. So I think it's a perfect fit.
For sure. I think with C.J. Stroud leaving, I think Petra should probably go to Ohio State because at least he has conference championship game experience.
Yeah. Would Ohio State take him? They don't have anybody behind. They got to have somebody behind Stroud.
At least he can make a conference championship game.
Who do they have behind Stroud? I don't even know.
I don't know either.
It's got to be a 4 or 5 star. They get one every year.
Iowa now has double the quarterbacks on their roster that have started in Big Ten championship games than Ohio State.
What a shame that is. Ohio State has reached a never-before-seen level of poverty, I think. And that's saying something because we're talking about Ohio here.
Yeah. Michigan's backup running back, Donovan Edwards, he threw a touchdown pass last year in the Big Ten championship game. That now gives him more touchdown passes in the Big Ten championship than C.J. Stroud.
Man, these are some fascinating stats. It reminds me of what I say about Alabama all the time. Stetson Bennett has more national titles as a starting quarterback than Tua and Bryce Young combined.
Crazy.
It's unbelievable. It's a crazy world we're living in.
I just don't like how their fans, last year it was, the weather, the flu, whatever, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then this year,
always some.
I'm on the Michigan Twitter space, right?
Uh-huh.
This year is if they didn't give away the lawn plays, they would have won, as if that's, how the game works.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I just want to drop some knowledge for the Ohio State fans that think that. So Ohio State has faced 3 top 50 offenses this season. Number 31, Penn State. Number 22, Michigan. Number 47, Maryland. Guess how many yards they've given up?
In those 3 games? Total, I'm going to have to go with 1,500.
1,414 yards and 106 points. It's not
close.
A one-game issue.
Right. Yeah, I tried to explain
Penn State, 482 yards.
Yeah.
Maryland, 402, and Michigan, 530.
Wow. And if you go back and look at their last 3 losses, which is Michigan twice and Oregon.
Yeah, even worse.
900 yards rushing given up in those 3 games.
Even worse. But yet these fans, they think they're going to, get in at number 4 and beat Georgia.
Yeah, not happening.
So if they can't beat Michigan, who has a lot of talent, but not near the talent of Ohio State, they now think they're going to go up against a better Michigan and Georgia with more talent and beat that team.
The only thing playing Georgia is going to accomplish for Ohio State is ruining C.J. Stroud's draft stock. That's it. Even more than it already is.
They keep talking about the big plays, but what they're failing to realize, too, is they scored 3 points in the second half, and Michigan was playing prevent defense for the whole second half.
Yeah,
so
but don't you know? Yeah, but don't you know
if prevent defense?
But don't you know if the game was only 1 half long, they would have beat you they would have won by 3.
That's what I keep saying. Remember that time Ohio State won the first quarter versus Michigan?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess Georgia won the national title in 2017 since we were beating Alabama at halftime.
Yeah.
Too. I can go back and claim that now on some Ohio State logic.
Well, it's fun being a Michigan fan in the playoff. I hope we get to face Georgia again. I still give Georgia the edge, just what you said, just because same style, but you have to give the talent the upper hand. I would say that about any 2 teams, matching up that are similar in play style. I think it'll be closer.
Yeah, I do too. I think it might be the best title game we've seen since maybe 2017, that Georgia-Alabama overtime game. I think it'll be a good game.
Really depends how Michigan pivots with Corum out, right? They were planning.
Yep.
He would have sat out this week, but they would have certainly had him by the playoff. So Edwards, he has a cast that should be off by the playoff time. He's been in it for about a month now. So really depends at the running back depth. Be interesting to see what they do this week in preparation for the playoff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. I love the show, Lou. Thanks.
Yeah, buddy. Appreciate you coming on. It was good to hear from you. Good luck against Purdue. Speaking of Purdue, good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Uncle Lou, how you doing, sir?
Doing good.
Hey, I got a quick question for you. I was just trying to do some research earlier. With Kane Durham being from Georgia earlier.
Are you in a
Georgia,
are you in a well or something? It's echoing real bad. Are you on speakerphone or are you in the bottom of a
I'm
well?
on a speaker, unfortunately. Let me try. Can you take me out? Can you back for a couple minutes?
What?
No, I'm on my speaker.
Take speakerphone off. I mean, I know you've called in the shows before. You got to take speakerphone off. I'll put you in the back room while you get it figured out. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Good morning, Uncle Lou. How you doing?
Doing good.
I wanted to ask you something about your experience going to the UGA and Tech game this year.
Yeah.
I think you said you were going to make a video about it. I might have missed it, but you said that the end of the game experience was not very good or underwhelming.
Not the end of the game, the end game. Like just being there. It's not good.
It's just not too much. Like, because when I heard that, I was kind of thinking, like, you know how South Carolina has the fireworks going and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they don't do anything like that. Now Georgia's got the light show that they do, but that's only for night games. So I didn't get, they didn't do that obviously for a noon game. But my problem is you might as well leave your cell phone in your car. You can't use it there. You can't check a score on another game. They do a terrible job of updating you on the scores in the stadium. They do have a scrolling thing where scores pop up every once in a while, but about half the time, like I was at a noon game, okay? About half the time that I looked up at the score thing, nothing was there. The other half of the time when I looked up, it would say something like this: South Carolina versus Clemson, 7:30 tonight. I know that. I don't care. There's no reason. Look, the Michigan-Ohio State game mattered to Georgia fans. It should have. Because it determines who Georgia possibly would be playing later on. That score should have been up there for the entire game for anybody that wanted to see it. Or my cell phone should work. I have an app. I have an app on my phone. It just shows scores. It's not some complicated app. It's not like I was trying to stream 4K video. I'm just trying to check a score of a game. You can't. You forget it. You can't. Doesn't work. Cell phones don't work. They don't show you the scores in the stadium like they should. The replay system at the stadium is absolutely horrible. Half the time they don't even show the replay, and if they do show it, it's like some weird, I don't know where they're getting these replays from. It's not the television broadcast. It's their own video system, and I don't know if it's a technology issue or the guy running the system doesn't know what the hell he's doing. I don't know. But the in-game experience, unless all you care about is Georgia football, then the in-game experience is terrible. Being there is terrible. I'm a college football fan whose favorite team is Georgia. There are some people that are just Georgia fans and don't really care about anything that goes on outside of that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But for somebody who does what I do for a living, it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable.
Oh, yeah.
You can't see a replay. Cell phones don't work. You can't check scores. You don't know what the scores are of the other games. It's just it's very frustrating in 2022 to be having those problems there.
Especially as a top program like Georgia to have those kind of issues.
They've got the money. They can call Verizon tomorrow and have towers attached to the top of the stadium. But teams do it. NFL stadiums have done it. They could install their own Wi-Fi network that could service 100,000 people. They haven't done it. It's unacceptable.
I totally agree. Well, I appreciate the call, Lou. I love how you give us the opportunity to call in.
Yeah, man. Yeah, appreciate you taking the time to call in. Good to hear from you. All right, Hog.
All right, is this any better, sir?
Yeah, that's better.
All right. Hey, one thing I was going to ask you, I don't know how you're going to do it. Are you streaming the U.S. Netherlands game on the Patreon channel Saturday?
The soccer game? Well, you know what the problem is? It comes on at 10 in the morning. So if I stream it, it'll be on YouTube, not Patreon. But I do I do that Saturday morning football show, and I'm still going to do that this Saturday at 8:30 or 9. But then the soccer game comes on at 10. So I don't know if I'll just keep the stream going while I watch the soccer game, or if I'll stop the football stream and do another. I haven't figured that out yet, but I'm definitely going to do something, and it'll be on YouTube, not Patreon. The Patreon stream this week will be the SEC championship game at 4.
All right. And another thing, I'm with you. Like what you talking about a couple callers ago, saying that the SEC team coming up north for like the Ohio State and stuff like. I would be willing to buy a ticket for that game. And that would be so funny to see a team maybe like Ole Miss come up to Ohio State and beat their brains in.
Oh yeah, especially
In,
after
like, 20 degree
their
weather.
fans have been saying for years that if the SEC had to play up here in November, they'd never win a game. Well, we're going to find out here pretty soon when these playoffs expand, and I can't wait.
One other thing, win or lose for Purdue, I know the Rose Bowl's kind of out of the question, but I see them going to Orlando for the Citrus Bowl. If that's the case, who do you think might be a better matchup for LSU or Ole Miss?
I'd like to see Purdue and Ole Miss. Actually, I think that would be an interesting game. Nothing against LSU, but just matchup wise, I would like to see Purdue and Ole Miss.
Something tells me it'd be the same as the Music City Bowl.
Yeah.
High scoring game. All right, sir. Thanks. Have a good one.
All right, buddy. Appreciate you coming on.
See you.
Good to hear from you. Good luck to Purdue this week. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, how you doing there, Lou?
Hey, doing good. You're cutting out. We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Get hurt.
We can't hear you. You're cutting in and out.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you now.
Yeah, I was saying the last time that Kansas State played TCU, did all three of their quarterbacks get hurt?
Two of them did.
I think two of them did.
Adrian Martinez went down. They put the backup in. The backup went down, and they had to put the third string guy in. And they were up 28 to.
You think they had any chance to win with Martinez?
10 or something. Oh, if Adrian Martinez was playing, I think Kansas State would beat him. But he's not playing. The backup. Now the backup is playing.
Okay.
And I think Kansas State could still beat them with that. The backup's played really good the last couple of weeks. I think Kansas State's got a chance to beat TCU. I'm going to pick TCU to win, but I don't think it's a guarantee.
I just got to get this off my chest because it's been a disappointing season as an Alabama fan. But, can we just take time to appreciate that a down season for us is a great season for Tennessee, man?
Yeah. That's true.
There's small victories in this. I mean, good job. You beat us for the first time in 16 years. When I was trying to learn math as a little kid. So congratulations. I heard you talking about bowl matchup.
You cut out again.
If you youngins know that Tulane used to be in the SEC, that would be kind of fun to watch if they played in the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they have more SEC titles than South Carolina. I mean, if they have any at all, they have more. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, I just want to say I appreciate your work. Continue to do what you've been doing, and hopefully Georgia wins out.
All right, buddy. I appreciate it, man. Good to hear from you. And, yeah, he makes a good point. Alabama goes 10-2. Their fans are looking to jump out of a window. Tennessee goes 10-2. They want to throw a parade and build a John Hopeful statue. It is kind of weird that two teams can have the same record and their fans can feel so completely different. About it. There's no one else in the back waiting to come on, so that's going to be it for the call-ins. So we'll answer some questions or read some comments in the comment section here before we close things out for the day. I know not everybody was able to call in, so we'll see if we can get to some comments here. Nebraska might make the playoffs next year. I'm not even reading the rest of that. There's a 4-team playoff next year. So the idea that Nebraska might make the playoff next year, 5-star dummy. That's insane. That's insane. I'm not even reading the rest of that. It's a big paragraph, too, but it starts off with Nebraska might make the 4-team playoff next year. I mean, come on. How about Nebraska might make a bowl game next year? How about that? That I can get behind. That we can strive for. Lou, do you think Dabo will get Clemson back on track? Dabo's at a crossroads. To me, there's some concerning things and signs about the Clemson program right now. I'll just be honest with you. It doesn't look like he's going to make any staff changes. that's going to put a lot of pressure on Clemson's offense next year in particular. And here's the thing. A lot of people are coming down on Clemson's offensive coordinator, and I agree. I agree. He didn't do well. But what about Clemson's defensive coordinator? Who do we blame? Clemson should have had a top 5 defense this year. They're not even close to a top 5 defense. They're not even close. They've got how many NFL draft picks on that defense this year? Look at just the front 7 alone. They're probably going to have 5 people taken in the first 2 rounds. What happened to Clemson's defense? So, I don't necessarily follow teams close enough to be able to pinpoint when an issue should be blamed on a coordinator. I do with Georgia, but like you take the Alabama situation, for example. I've heard Alabama fans say for 2 years they hate Pete Golding and Bill O'Brien, so it's easy for me to know that they're not doing well, at least according to the fans. And now I'm hearing the Clemson fans say the same thing about theirs. I don't know. I don't really know who's to blame. Offensively, I think it's a combination of things. Number one, on DJ Ukulele's best day, he's not Trevor Lawrence and he's not Deshaun Watson. He's just not. So however good anybody thinks DJ Ukulele might be, whoever the coordinator is, he's not Deshaun Watson or Trevor Lawrence. So that's a step back there from what you had before. There's no wide receivers on that team who worry anybody, whereas with Clemson, they normally have had that. Whether it's a possession-type guy like Hunter Renfrow or whether it's a Sammy Watkins going back a few years or a Justin Ross or whoever it is, there's no one there. To be honest, outside of Will Shipley, like if you're a defensive coordinator and you're preparing for Clemson, just focus on Will Shipley. What else are you losing sleep over? So I think talent is part of the problem on Clemson's offense. And I'm not saying they're not talented at all, because they clearly are. They're not close to those Deshaun Watson or Trevor Lawrence teams, though, talent-wise. I don't think. On the defense, this might be the most talented defense they've ever had. But what happened? I mean, look, I know Wake Forest has a good offense and Sam Hartman's a good quarterback. Okay, if you've got as good of a defense as we were led to believe, and that really you should have based on talent, there's no reason anybody should be throwing 6 or 7 touchdown passes on you. Not Sam Hartman or anybody else. And that wasn't the only game where Clemson's defense didn't live up to the hype. It was a majority of the season. So I don't know what he's going to do with the coaches, but he's got some decisions to make. And then what might be even more concerning is just Dabo's kind of overall attitude towards college football in general. He's starting to I hesitate to even make this comparison that I'm about to make, because these two people are in 2 different worlds, and this is a limited comparison that I'm making. But he's starting to remind me of Dan Mullen. Dan Mullen doesn't like college football. Dan Mullen likes coaching. He doesn't like college football. He doesn't like the transfer portal. He doesn't like NIL. He doesn't like this. He doesn't like that. He doesn't like recruiting. Oh, well, tough. Dabo's got to change his attitude towards recruiting. Not that he doesn't like recruiting, but this whole thing that he does where if we offer you a scholarship and you accept it, you're not allowed to have any contact with any other school during the rest of your time in high school, or we're revoking your scholarship. That's ridiculous. His attitude towards the transfer portal, ridiculous. The whole hashtag all in thing, ridiculous. We want people that are all in on Clemson. No, well, I mean, I think, football has changed a lot. Dabo has been the head coach at Clemson for 15 or 16 years. Football's changed a lot. Dabo's got to change. Saban changed 5-6 years ago, evolved his entire philosophy, swallowed his pride, hired Lane Kiffin as OC, whatever. If if Clemson and particularly Dabo Swinney doesn't reevaluate, reassess himself in some of the decisions he's making, I don't know if we will see Clemson get back to the level they were at from 2015 to 2020. I don't know if we will. Florida State's looking better and better. I don't know. It's not like they've fallen off a cliff. I mean, they're 10-2. They're 10-2. They're a borderline top 10 team, top 10, top 15 team. I mean, it's not like, so it's not, they're not terrible. They're not winning 4 games next year. That's not what I'm saying. But as far as being at the top of the college football heap, like they pretty much were from 15 to 20, I mean, they were the first or second best program in all of college football from 2015 to 2020. They're not that now. They're not. They're somewhere in the top 10 maybe. They're not the first or second best program in college football. And they were that for a while. And I think Dabo's got to do some soul searching. And that comment he made to the fan the other day on the call-in show is completely fucking unacceptable. I wish I would call in. I wish I would call in to a college coach call-in show. Get them on the phone, ask them a question, and then have them tell me, well, if you don't like what I'm doing, maybe I should just quit. I wish they'd tell me that. I wouldn't fucking quit then. Get to stepping. You threaten to quit because someone asked you an obvious question. And that's not the first time he's done it either. That's not a good look. The athletic director should have took him aside after that and said, hey, you can't do that. You can't do that. What do you mean you threaten to quit? Because a fan asked you about changing offensive coordinators, you're threatening to quit? Well, what is that? Mike Luca, thank you for the super chat. He says, if you want to be a tater for life, woo, else just leave town. That's his attitude. That's his attitude. And I just don't know if in today's world of college football and the athletes that we're dealing with, if that's, I don't know how far that's going to fly. You know, I don't know how far that's going to fly. I don't know how far that's going to fly. Lou, do you think Tennessee could get the Illinois DC if they choose to replace their current DC? Again, like I said a second ago, I love college football, and I watch a lot of college football games, and I consider myself knowledgeable in a lot of areas. But when there's something I don't know about, I do admit it and tell you. I don't follow recruiting very closely, right? I say that all the time. I can't name very many defensive and offensive coordinators around the country. So as far as Illinois' defensive coordinator goes, I don't know anything about him, including his name. The only thing I know is that Illinois had a really, really good defense this year. How much of that is because of Illinois' defensive coordinator, I really don't have any idea. I'll say this. In general, it feels like if you're a defensive coordinator somewhere like Illinois, it would be an upward movement to become defensive coordinator at Tennessee. So, like, even though I guess you technically would have the same job, it would feel like a promotion to me if you got, you know, if you went from defensive coordinator at Illinois to defensive coordinator at Tennessee, that would feel like a promotion to me. As far as would he take the job or not, though, I don't have any idea. I really don't. I don't even know who it is. Brett Bielema is the head coach. I don't know how much he has to do with the defense versus the defensive coordinator. I just don't know. I have no clue. But I do know Illinois statistically has one of the best defenses in the country this year. That's what kept them in the majority of the games they played. They had a really good running back, too. I don't want to take anything away from him, but their defense was really, really good. Carson Kinney, thank you for the super chat. He says, Lou, how long do you think Jimbo has got? I know he has a big buyout, but at some point someone will pay it off, and it gets less and less every season. It goes down about $10 million a season, so it's about $90 million now. So at this time next year, it'll be about $80 million, I guess. I can't foresee a scenario right now where any team pays $50 million. So that would be 3 or 4 years down the road. I think at this point, I think it would be more likely that Jimbo quit than got fired. I'm not saying I think he's going to quit. But I can't see anybody paying a $50 million buyout. Never mind 80 or 90. The other thing is, they were so bad this year, right? Would they finish 5-7? Did they finish 5-7 or 4-8? Anyway, 4 or 5 wins this year, right? Okay, so they go 8-4 again next year. Now, we're right back to the joke about them being 8-4 every year, right? But people will be able to go, well, he went from 5 wins to 8 wins. He's headed in the right direction. So it's going to be hard to fire him next year because, look, no matter what we think about Texas A&M, the odds of them winning 4 or 5 games again next year is not very high. They're going to win more than that. Don't you think? They're going to win more than that. So if you didn't fire him this year after winning 4 or 5 games, you're probably not going to fire him next year if he wins 7 or 8, are you? So you're probably in a situation now where you're stuck with him for another couple of years, I would imagine. Auburn is paying over $45 million right now. Yeah, but that's the 2 different coaches spread out over a bunch of different years. That's not paying one coach $80 million. UJ fan 1716-1 says, "Let me get a go dogs, Lou." Well, say no more. Yep. Thank you, sir. What else we got? Do you believe Georgia's offense will be better if A.D. Mitchell comes back? Look at Oregon and South Carolina. I think, well, clearly Georgia's offense is better with less injured players. So, yeah, I do think Georgia's offense would be better with A.D. Mitchell. Look, this is how I guess this is the part of the show where I'll make Georgia fans mad today. This is how far our standards for what is a great wide receiver are so low at Georgia. It's ridiculous. I like A.D. Mitchell. A.D. Mitchell isn't some kind of first-round NFL talent. He's not. He's not. But we're so bad at wide receiver that A.D. Mitchell is like some sort of savior at that position. Now, having said that, of course, it would help to have him back. He's our best wide receiver. So, yeah, it would help to have him back. But he's not George Pickens, I guess is what I'm saying. But not that anyone is, but it's just amazing what, Georgia's had mediocre wide receivers for so long that pretty much anybody that can run a route and has 2 hands is considered the next Jerry Rice. It's kind of weird. Do you think Dabo was waiting for the GOAT to leave? No. I don't think Dabo would last 2 or 3 years at Bama. He can't take the heat at Clemson. They've gone 10-2 at Clemson. The offense is in the shitter. A fan asks him, hey, are you considering making any changes offensively, considering the offense has struggled for a couple of years in a row? And his answer is, well, if you're not happy with what we're doing, maybe I'll just quit. You try that shit in Tuscaloosa. Try that shit in Alabama. They'll drive you out of town on the first thing smoking. Mike Luca, thank you for the super chat. I actually have some sympathy for Jim Blow. A&M legally bought lots of talent. It's not the NFL. You can't just throw money at talent. Yeah, talent's a big part of it, but it's a puzzle, and the puzzle has to fit together. You can't just bring in a bunch of talented people. Now Southern Cal, now this isn't money related necessarily with Southern Cal, but Southern Cal also brought in a bunch of pieces, and it worked there. They did it through the transfer portal. How much money they paid versus what A&M paid for the recruits, I don't know, but And the other thing to remember is Texas A&M's recruiting class doesn't have anything to do with this season. Whether they went 15-0 or 0-15, it's not because of 25 freshmen that they signed last year. The recruiting class Texas A&M signed last year will pay dividends, in theory, in 2023 and 2024, when those people are sophomores and juniors. Very few true freshmen have impacts in major college football. A lot of them play some, very few. But the idea that because they signed one number one class, that 25 freshmen were going to come out and have some type of huge impact this year, that was unrealistic from the get-go. Recruiting classes are meant to build a team for the future, not immediately. Transfer portal is for immediate help. Recruiting is for help 2 and 3 years down the road. Carson, thank you for the super chat. Lou, you have me rooting for Ohio State to make the playoff for the first time in my life because I'd love to see you bullying Ohio State fans for 3 weeks. Look, I'll be honest with you. From a selfish point of view, it would be better for me and this channel if Ohio State made the playoffs than it would if TCU or Southern Cal made it. So this idea that, Lou's scared of Ohio State, he don't want them nowhere near the playoffs. I would love for Ohio State to get in the playoffs at the 4 seed and have and be matched up with Georgia with a 3-week window to make videos about. I would love that. Do you have any idea how good that would be for me, as opposed to making 3 weeks worth of videos about TCU or Southern Cal? I just don't think Southern Cal is going to lose to Utah. It's got nothing to do with Ohio State. You know, everybody thinks every pick I make is based off of my hatred that I don't have for their team, but they think I have for their team. It's got nothing to do with it. I think Southern Cal is going to beat Utah. I think it's going to be a good game, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if Utah won, but I'm picking Southern Cal to win. They've been hot lately. Caleb Williams is going to win the Heisman. Utah won by 1 point at home on a 2-point conversion at the end of the game. Utah's tight end. Did y'all watch the game? I watched that. I know none of y'all watched the Pac-12 because y'all think it's no good. The Pac-12 is good this year. I've been trying to tell y'all that since the beginning of October, that you needed to be watching the Pac-12 this year. Most of you didn't listen. The Pac-12 has been good football this year. In that Southern Cal-Oregon game, the Utah tight end, Kincaid or whatever his name is, had like 16 catches, 280 yards, 2 or 3 touchdowns. It was insane. That's not repeatable. He's really good. That's not repeatable. Georgia can't go out and win every game because Brock Bowers catches 220 yards and 3 touchdowns. You can't do that every game. That's not going to happen again for Utah. Southern Cal's not going to let that happen. I just think Southern Cal wins the game. It's got nothing to do with how I feel or don't feel about Ohio State or its fans. It's got nothing to do with it. From a selfish point of view, it would be better for me for Ohio State to be 4 than it would Southern Cal or TCU. I just don't think Southern Cal is going to lose. That's literally it. It's a football opinion. When I pick the game, it's a football opinion. It's got nothing to do with I would love it would be better for this channel if Ohio State was 4. I think that's obvious. There's just way more Ohio State fans around than there is Southern Cal. Maybe that'll change down the road if Southern Cal puts a few good years together, but right now there's just not a lot of Southern Cal fans to go back and forth with. There's just not. Just not. What else? Since someone has to win the Heisman, USC will win, and Caleb Williams will secure the Heisman by default. Well, I don't think it's necessarily by default. I think he's had a great year. UJ Rock says, why are you so, what does that say? Why are you so pessimistic about Nebraska and label me a dummy for suggesting they might be a pretty good team? You didn't suggest they might be a pretty good team. You suggest they might make the playoffs. That's retarded. They haven't made a bowl in 5 years. I mean, what? I don't get what you don't get. Anybody that would openly predict on December 1st of 2022 that Nebraska might make the playoffs in 2023, is a 5-star dummy. I mean, sorry. Make sure your nephew gets that haircut for Saturday. Word on the street is that he got a haircut today. The word is he got a haircut today. So if that's the case, if that's true, it's over for LSU. Nebraska will most likely improve next year, but they won't even be in the conversation for the playoff. No, improving would be going 7-5 and making a bowl game. That's the improvement that Nebraska could have next year. Could. I mean, Nebraska isn't even the shitty Big Ten West team that would have the most chance of having some kind of one-year miraculous turnaround and getting to the playoffs. They're not even in their own division, they don't fit that criteria. There's another team in their same division that just hired a coach that now they're not, this other team's not making the playoffs next year either, but that team will be way better next year than Nebraska will. That I'll tell you that right now. Two shitty teams in the Big Ten West, both just hired new coaches. Nebraska's going to be the worst of those two next year, and you're talking about playoffs. Yeah, Ladarius, Wisconsin. Oh, you're welcome, Juice. The woods east of Athens. The woods east of Athens says Lincoln should recruit in that one town with children of the corn. UJ Rock says, if I wasn't poor, I'd super chat. And no one ever has to super chat. And it doesn't matter whether you're poor or not. Everyone is welcome to watch. This channel is free to watch. It doesn't cost a dime to watch. It doesn't cost a dime to watch me make a fool of myself 365 days a year on this channel. For those that are able, I appreciate it. Obviously, the super chats and the PayPals and the cash outs. But no one is ever expected to pay, so you don't have to apologize for not being able to. What you should be doing is apologizing for those comments you were making about Nebraska. That would be an apology I would accept. Lou, what chances do you give Alabama to make the playoffs next year? I mean, obviously Alabama is a good team every year, so they're going to have some chance to make it. But in terms of making predictions for next year, can we at least wait and see, who leaves to go to the NFL, who decides to come back, signing classes, recruiting classes, who transfers in, who transfers out? Can we at least wait on all that before we start trying to make predictions for next year? Dash Young, thank you for the super chat. He says, yeah, I'm just catching up for all the videos ever. Oh, you got a lot of work to do. It goes back to 2014. Some of my best work ever was back when Georgia was shitty, so make sure you watch the videos from 2014, 2015, and 2016. That's some of my best work is when Georgia was in the toilet. So that's something a lot of new people around here need to realize is it's not like I just showed up and started coming on here when Georgia got good a few years ago. When I started this, Georgia was not a dominant program at all. It was the Mark Richt days. Georgia was winning 9 and 10 games a year and couldn't even win their division. So I've been on here and suffered through the brutal losses. So I've earned my stripes on here. So now when Georgia is good, I've earned the right to brag about it and be an asshole because I suffered through the bad times on here for everybody to see. Carson, thank you for the super chat. I'm excited for the 12-team playoff. I think the same teams will be in the championship game, but the road to the championship will be more interesting. Well, the road to the championship will definitely be more interesting. Those 5 through 12 games will be great every year. And you're going to see some teams ranked 5 through 12 win the national title. Maybe not 10 or 11 or 12, I don't know. But you're going to see some 5, 6, and 7 teams win the Natty. That's going to happen for sure. Ohio State backup quarterback is Kyle McCord. Okay. Is he who's expected to start next year then, I guess? Bring back Tectard for next year? We'll see. We'll see. Georgia covers this weekend. 17.5 right now. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I think that's probably pretty close to right, though. Georgia probably wins, 31-13, 34-20, 37-20, something like that. What happened with General Valtard? Did he die again? No, he's still alive. Ben says he's been here through the bad times, too. Yeah, it was rough, wasn't it? Look, I was on here when we lost to Vandy on homecoming. You want to talk about the bottom of the barrel? I was on here when we lost to Vandy in homecoming.
Our Duracell copper top bat.
Yeah. Shout out to Duracell. Yeah, shout out to Old Spice also, too.
At home! On home! How in the hell do you lose to Vanderbilt at home on homecoming? Vanderbilt has not won a road game in the SEC in 2 damn years. They have no offense. None. Zero. This is embarrassing. You know what's worse than losing to Vanderbilt? Zero improvement overall from week 1 till now. I haven't seen any. None. No consistency. You run the ball last week against Carolina for 300 and some yards. Today you can't run the ball to save your life. Vanderbilt. Jacob Eason goes for 300 yards. Well, we lose. Special teams, piss poor. Clock management, piss poor. The defense played good, but it's Vanderbilt. They literally have no offense. None.
Yeah, and then there's like 3 more minutes of that. Tennessee Hail Mary? Yep. That's on here. Just if you type in Uncle Lou Tennessee, it's the first one that comes up, I'm pretty sure. Lou, I've been a subscriber to this channel for years. My favorite video by you was the LSU game in 2018. I think it was 2018. SEC Championship video was funny, too, and 2017 Natty game. Yeah, well, there's 2 LSU videos. There's the 2018 LSU video. That was a regular season game. And then there's the 2019 LSU video. That was the SEC Championship game. That was in my garage. I used to work out of my garage. That's why it was a mess in there. Yeah, 2018 regular season game was in Baton Rouge. That was where Jake Fromm played like absolute shit in the first half, and they refused to put Justin Fields in, and I just lost my mind. Hey, lady, I'm doing YouTube, bitch. Do I have that still? That's this one.
No! Oh, lady, how about you shut the up? I'm doing Bluetooth, bitch.
That's a Georgia Tech video I was making in the garage, and I was yelling and screaming, and some lady that was walking her dog or something yelled at me to shut up. So I stopped whatever I was doing in the video and told her to shut up. Oh, there's no doubt about that, Jace. React to your old videos and make it a series for this offseason. That's not a bad idea. Matt from Gainesville says you're not a real UGA fan. Yeah, that was funny, too. That was funny. Yeah, I was in the garage recording a Georgia Tech video, and you can hear, in the video, you can hear the lady yell at me to shut up. In Pembroke, Michigan, that's a good get for them. He's a good one. I don't follow recruiting that closely, but I do know who that is. You want another General Valtard video? I'll see what I can do. Lou should become a game announcer / commentator for a network broadcast. Yeah, I don't have time because then I wouldn't be able to stream all the games from my studio here. How did ESPN get in touch with you to be in the commercial? They emailed me. It wasn't ESPN who emailed me. They don't make their own commercials. They hire advertising agencies to make the commercials for them. So it was an advertising agency who emailed me. I never actually talked to ESPN about that commercial. Companies don't produce their own commercials. They hire outside agencies to do it. So it was an advertising agency that contacted me. At Georgia Tech, we can do that. Yeah, that's the video that where I yell at that lady to shut up. It's called Georgia Tech, You Can Do That. Lou, I seen the Alabama versus UGA 2015 video with you in the car. Yeah, it was raining outside. I was actually at my dad's house watching the game with him. And he didn't want me yelling and screaming in the house, I guess. So I went outside to make the video, but it was raining. So I sat in my car to make the video. That became a pretty popular video, too. Fansville? I was almost in a Coke commercial. I was almost in a Coke commercial for the playoffs like 3 or 4 years ago, but I didn't make it. I had to do a what's it called when you go in and you read your lines to somebody? What is that called? I don't know the word. It's on the. I can't think of the audition. Thank you. Audition. Yeah. The one lady that said she was going to sue me. Yeah, there was somebody that wanted to. It was a Penn State fan. Said they were going to sue me for some things I said about the Penn State administration and Joe Paterno and that whole situation. I told her to go ahead. Yeah, I actually was nervous because that's not what I do. I'm not an actor. That's why, and I told him that. So I'm not an actor. I don't know what. I'm not an actor. but it was weird. It was a Skype call, and I was sitting at my dining room table, and when I answered the Skype call, it was what I was seeing was it was a boardroom with like 11 people sitting at it, all in suits and ties. And I'm not an actor. And the guy did like small talk for like 30 seconds, and then he was like, "Okay, say this." And he told me a line to say, and I said it. And he was like, "Now say it this way," and I said it that way. And he was like, "Okay, thank you." And that was literally it. It was like 30 seconds. But I didn't get it. It was a Coke commercial. And it wasn't something I applied for. Again, it was just some ad agency that emailed me because they had seen me on YouTube. No, I don't have any interest in acting. I don't have any interest in acting. I mean, I was in an ESPN commercial for the playoffs last year, but it's not acting. They just take clips off my YouTube channel and play it. That's fine. I don't have any interest in showing up in acting and pretending to be somebody else and reading lines, and I don't have any interest in all that. Oh, yeah, Juice. I had to fill out the whole Actors Guild union paperwork and all that. It's kind of ridiculous what they pay you. The commercial was going to be filmed in Houston, Texas, over Thanksgiving weekend. So they were going to fly me to Houston like Wednesday through Sunday over Thanksgiving weekend. And it's a flat rate that they pay you. It's a union rate. It's an Actors Guild union rate. It's like $950 a day, or something like that. And of course, put you up in a hotel, pay for the plane ticket. They give you like $150 a day per diem to eat or do whatever. So it was all paid. I just didn't make it through past the second. I made it through the first audition. It was a talent agency. They contacted me. I did some kind of audition for them. Made it through that. And then for the last one, it was like the directors and all that of the actual commercial. And I had to read lines for them or something, and I didn't make it past that. Which one is your favorite Rage video? Mine is the Vanderbilt one. The Vanderbilt one is Rage video. The Vanderbilt one is good. When else did I get really mad? That same year when we lost to Georgia Tech and I broke my TV with a hammer. That's a good one. Both the LSU ones are pretty good. 2018 and 2019 LSU videos are pretty good. When we lost to South Carolina in 2019. What makes me the most mad is when we lose to teams that we shouldn't lose to. That's what makes me the most mad. Like, if you go back and watch my reaction to losing the national title game, it's not a lot of rage. It's heartbreak and just, like, it's a totally different feeling. But, like, losing to Vanderbilt and Georgia Tech, those are the types of things that piss me off. Yeah, the Georgia loss videos are always the most popular videos, Misery loves company, so when you lose, everyone shows up to watch. Is Kirby going to be the GOAT at UGA? Well, right now he's still behind Dooley. They each have one national title, but Dooley had a lot more SEC titles. But if Kirby wins another natty, then yeah. Lou, ever contacted by Barstool? They hire fans that rage? No, I've never heard anything from Barstool. Would you promote a product you like if you were paid? Yeah, I've done that before. Now, I turn down way more than I accept. I get offered shit all the time. I get emails every day from companies wanting me to, they want to sponsor a video for this or that. If it doesn't have anything to do with football or anything to do with what I already do on the channel, I turn it down. Like, there's all the time people trying to get me to do nutrition, drinks, and or whatever stuff like that. I always turn that down. The last one I took was for the chairs, those chairs behind me. And then I've done DraftKings. I've done the movie theater chairs. I've done Bet Now. There might have been one or two other ones, but I turned most of them down because they don't have anything to do with. There was a watch company one time wanted to send me a watch. Nothing I do on here has anything to do with watches. So I'm not a salesman. I'm not a this isn't a I'm not an infomercial guy. I'm not gonna, a wallet was another one they wanted me to do, a wallet. I'm like, what do I? No, it doesn't have anything to do with what I do. So I turned most of them down. Mike Luca, thank you for the super chat. He says the best underrated Lou video is the hype hate Notre Dame. Rudy committed securities fraud. Yeah, that was a good one too. I like doing hype and hate videos on teams Georgia doesn't play all the time. It gets a little old to me doing a hype and hate video against South Carolina 5, 6, 7 years in a row. Nothing against South Carolina. I'm just saying when you making a hype and hate video for the same team year after year after year after year after year, I mean, it gets hard to come up with new stuff to say. But I love it when Georgia plays a team they don't normally play. Yeah, you know why I do that morning show, Whipmaster? I have the morning show I do on my second channel now. Sometimes we talk football over there, but not always. That's why I do the morning show on a separate channel. I used to do the morning show here on this channel, and people were complaining because they would click on the morning show and I wouldn't be talking about football, and it was, well, I thought this was a football channel. So I do the morning show on a second channel, and I do talk a lot of football on there, especially during football season, but I do a live show on that second channel 4 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. But the reason I started doing that morning show, when I went full time on YouTube, I found myself wasting too much time during the day. Like I would get up at 6 in the morning, get my kids ready for school, breakfast, get them off to school, and then, I'd sit on the couch and turn the TV on or something, and the next thing I knew, it would be like 10:30 or 11, and I hadn't done anything all day long, and I started to feel like I was just wasting the days away. So I started the morning channel the morning show to kind of force me to start working every morning at 8. And so now what I do most days when I finish the morning show, I'll take like a 20-minute break, maybe get something to eat or refill my coffee or whatever, but then I get right back to work. So it's almost like having a quote unquote regular job. I have to be up in the morning and ready to go for the show at 8. So it kind of just gets me going in the morning. Right, Rich? Yeah. Well, obviously, if they knew anything at all about the Slob Olympics, they never would have asked me to advertise a nutrition product. But yeah, yeah. You're not an actor, but you're a character. Yeah, well, yeah, no argument there. Thank you. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, no, you're right about that. All right, I'm gonna stay on for a few more minutes, and I got to get out of here. Who's the Ohio State fan that made you so angry? It wasn't one. It wasn't just one. It was a bunch of them. All right, Kirby's Belt. We'll see you later, buddy. Funky Fudge, thank you for the super chat. Hate them dogs, but love you, Lou. Hope all is good. Thank you, Funky Fudge. Yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. Stream still going. Yeah, just for a few more minutes, though. Hey, Lou, not asking for the shout out, but just making sure you got the Cash App I sent. Oh, you know what? I haven't been checking. Sorry about that. I see it. Oh, thank you, Caleb. I appreciate that. He says, love your videos, Lou. Much love from Fort Knox. Fort Knox. You got all the money up there. You got all the money up there, don't you? You guarding all the gold up there? Fort Knox. Is that really where they keep all the gold, or is that just kind of like an old joke that kind of everyone just says? Or do they really keep all the gold there? I really don't know. Are your legs good? I know you got in a car accident a while back. Surgeries on your legs, how are they holding up? They're as good as they're ever going to be now, you know. I mean, it's not like I can't walk. I can't run that well. I look really funny when I try to run. I can't run that well, but yeah, it's not that bad. All right, Jace. See you next time, boy. Who's worse, Tennessee or Ohio State fans? Well, I'll be honest with you. There was about a 3-week period this year where Tennessee fans were probably the worst of any fan base I've ever seen on the internet. And part of it was because there was just so many of them out of the blue. Right around the time they beat Alabama, they were everywhere. People you'd never seen before, thousands of them, on every YouTube channel, Facebook post, everywhere you went. Which is a good thing. It's good to have them around, but some of the things they were saying were just so, like they just really got ahead of themselves, big time. Yeah, I appreciate that, Caleb. And then what's funny now is kind of watching some of the Tennessee fans who you can tell haven't really ever paid attention to playoff rankings before because it's never been relevant to Tennessee before, and they're just beside themselves that they're ranked behind Alabama, and they have all this proof that, you know, they keep showing this screenshot of playoff criteria that the committee members use, and they just, like, everyone knew Bama was going to be ahead of Tennessee. Like, if you paid attention to the playoff ranking, you just knew that was going to happen. I mean, you can't get blown out like that at the end of the year and not drop. It's just, you can't do that. It just, no one was surprised that Alabama was ahead of Tennessee except for Tennessee fans, and it just blew, not all of them. I'm just, you know, just saying some of them, but it just blew their mind. Favorite Marvel superhero? I don't know if I have a favorite Marvel superhero. I think my favorite Marvel movie is probably, well, the first Black Panther was really good. And then I like some of the first ones. Like some of the first Iron Mans were really good. Are you excited at all about the college football game coming back? Yeah, I'm disappointed it got postponed another year. You know, it was supposed to come out this coming July. It was supposed to come out July of 2023, but a week or so ago they put out an announcement it's being delayed for at least 1 year. So it'll be July 2024 at the earliest now. But yeah, I mean, I'll be the first one in line to get that when it comes out. Not literally in line. You download the games now, but I'll have that game the day it comes out. Nick Saban is worried about Hugh Freeze back in the SEC West. You think so, huh? He's going to have to get a quarterback before Auburn does anything meaningful. Hugh Freeze without a quarterback's no good at all. What do you talk about on the other streams? Well, this channel's all football all the time, year-round. On the morning show, we talk about football sometimes, but if we want to talk about something else, we talk about something else, whether it's whatever, movies, news, Netflix shows, whatever. I mean, it's kind of all over the place. Here's the second channel. Hold on. There's a link to the second channel if you want to check it out. All I really do on there is live shows Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 8 a.m. Every once in a while, I'll upload a video to that channel, but it's pretty rare. Here's one. Here's a video I uploaded to that channel. Oops. Wait a minute. Here's the last video I think I uploaded to that channel. It's called Mail Time. This is when I had gone to the grocery store and they were sold out of Duke's mayonnaise, and I got all mad about it and went off on some rant, probably on the morning show, about how it's ridiculous to be sold out of Duke's mayonnaise, blah, blah, blah. Well, then this guy here, like a week later, this guy here, Celine Driver, sent me 2 jars of mayonnaise in the mail. That's a Wofford helmet somebody sent me. Yeah, so sometimes I'll upload stuff like that. Oh, any Stranger Things fans in here? Any of y'all like Stranger Things? I don't know if there's any spoilers in this video I'm about to play, but if you haven't seen the end of Stranger Things, you might, maybe you want to click off. But here's me watching the end of Stranger Things.
They did. They did. He put those Satan dogs up wherever he was. Let's go! put those Satan dogs up wherever it was. Oh, yeah, now they're all free too. Let's go. Let's go.
I don't believe in a higher power or divine intervention. That was a miracle. I think we better not waste it.
Phase 4. What now?
Flambe.
Flambe. Come on, Hot. Come on, Hot. Let's go. All right, shit. Get his ass, Hot. Keep shooting. Oh! 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 Let's go, Hot! Yeah, fuck this bitch up.
And your friends believe you have won. Don't you? But this
Uh-oh. Okay, let's go.
the beginning of the end. You have already lost.
Get his ass, 11. Let's go! Give him one of these! Oh! Get his ass, Hot! Come on, Hot! Oh, the music! Ah!
She had to stop the recording because I hit the ceiling fan with the sword. All right, I'm going to get out of here. Appreciate y'all hanging out with me tonight. For those of you who are on the second channel, I'll see you at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. And for the rest of you, I will see you at 8 o'clock tomorrow night for the Pac-12 championship game, Southern Cal versus Utah. I'll be streaming that game live tomorrow night. So come hang out with me, watch the Pac-12 championship game. We'll have a good time, I promise. And I'll talk to y'all again real soon. Have a good morning.